Chapter 668. After absorbing the Azure Sun Spirit, one could stay in the profound Yin world for 3 months. Every time Ning Fan stayed in the profound Yin world for 3 months, he would have to stay in the outside world for 3 days. His current magical power was 127,000 yuan hui, 73,000 away from the three-shattering realm. Even with the help of the profound Yin world, Ning Fan could only refine 60,000 pieces of Dao crystals in a month. After breaking into 2, even a one-apertured ancient god would need to refine 10 doctrine gems to increase his magic power by 1 yuan hui. After 3 months, Ning Fan's magic power had reached 145,000 yuan hui. After being forced to leave the profound Yin world, Ning Fan looked at the ice bed and was slightly surprised. Hong Yi and the little demon girl had yet to wake up. Logically speaking, no matter how heavily injured the 2 women were, they should have woken up by now. Ning Fan carefully looked at the 2 ladies and realized that even though they were in deep sleep, the Dao marks of life and death in their bodies seemed to be increasing bit by bit. His injuries seemed to have healed by 70 to 80%, and his complexion was also very rosy. When he looked at the ice bed again, he frowned. At first, he didn't look at it carefully, but now that he looked at it again, he realized that the ice bed contained a dreamy and illusory power, as if it could comprehend life and death. Ning Fan didn't know what exactly this power was. Because of this power, the 2 women were temporarily unable to awaken and were still in a deep slumber. Although they were in a deep sleep, the benefits that the 2 women received were not small. This sleep, with the help of the ice bed, increased their understanding of life and death. I might as well train here for quite a few years, so I'll let the 2 of them sleep for now. This sleep will be extremely beneficial to them. This ice bed is a treasure. It can allow Master to comprehend life and death in his dreams. I wonder if you can take it with you before you leave this place. The foundation of the ice bed was connected to the stone chamber as if they were one entity. Ning Fan was not confident that he could take it away. After a moment of silence, he sat cross-legged in the stone room and began to adjust his breathing. 3 days later, he returned to the profound Yin world to cultivate. The number of Dao crystals decreased bit by bit. After refining 730,000 Dao crystals, Ning Fan's magic power had reached 200,000 yuan hui. He could already break through the bottleneck of the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm at any time. He had been trapped in the stone chamber for a year. In the profound Yin world, Ning Fan consumed 2 space-breaking pills and began to break through the bottleneck of the 3rd void-breaking realm. At the moment he broke through the bottleneck, Ning Fan's magic power increased by 15,000 periods. At the same time, he welcomed the Sovereign Lightning Tribulation and the Yin Wind Tribulation. The Sovereign Lightning Tribulation was merely nourishment for the Sovereign Qi Soaring Dragon, and the Yin Wind Tribulation was nothing to be afraid of. When Ning Fan easily broke through the 2nd tribulation, a pink undergarment fell from the sky all of a sudden. It carried the body fragrance of a young lady. Is this another goodwill from the heavenly Tao? Ning Fan kept the dudu and continued with his cultivation. He didn't know that at this moment, in a certain space, a naked little loli was playing in the lake, and she was crying loudly in shame and indignation. This time, she no longer wanted to care about Ning Fan's tribulation. How long had it been? Ning Fan had already broken through to the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm again. Anyway, he would certainly overcome the lightning and wind tribulations easily. She had already become numb to it. When Ning Fan was undergoing his tribulation, she was playing in the lake. Both of them had nothing to do with each other. However, her hand slipped and her undergarment actually sank to the bottom of the lake. It fell from the sky and landed on Ning Fan. She didn't want to live. How could a girl's undergarment be given to others so casually? Stinky Ning Fan. You're bullying me again. After breaking through to the 3rd tribulation, the effect of absorbing the Dao crystals was halved once again. Every time he absorbed 20 Dao crystals, he could only increase his magic power by 1 yuan. However, Ning Fan's speed of refining the Tao crystals had greatly improved. In the profound Yin world, he could refine 100,000 Tao crystals in a month. If he were in the outside world, he would need 8 years to refine 100,000 Tao crystals. Ning Fan gave it a try. With his third heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base, it was still not enough for him to refine 7 pieces of life and death crystals. Since he had no other choice, he could only continue cultivating. The number of Tao crystals began to decrease rapidly. After refining 3.7 million Tao crystals, Ning Fan's magic power had reached 400,000 yuan. Now, he could start breaking through to the fourth tribulation realm. It had been 4 years since he was trapped in the stone chamber. With the power of the void breaking pill, Ning Fan began to break through the bottleneck of the fourth tribulation realm. This bottleneck was obviously much harder to break than he had imagined. After entering the profound Yin world for 3 months, Ning Fan still could not break through this bottleneck. After being forced to leave the profound Yin world, Ning Fan decided to break through the bottleneck in the stone chamber. This time, it actually took him 3 years. On the 7th year of being trapped in the stone chamber, Ning Fan entered the profound Yin world and officially broke through to the fourth tribulation realm. The Sovereign Lightning Tribulation, the Yin Wind Tribulation. Then, hidden weapons fell from the sky and a cloth bear fell from the sky. This cloth bear was covered with saliva marks. It also had the faint body fragrance of a young lady. It seemed like a young lady often hugged it to sleep. Is this also a gesture of goodwill? Ning Fan was speechless. He had already experienced too many messy things. He was already used to it. After keeping the cloth bear, Ning Fan tried to refine the crystal of life and death. However, he realized that his cultivation base was still far from enough. It was not enough for him to refine the crystal. So, I can only continue cultivating. In a certain space, a little Lolita was looking at the surface of the lake with an aggrieved expression. When she looked at Ning Fan, her eyes turned into peaches from crying. Give me back my Xiao Guai. That's my Xiao Guai. Woo, she really wanted to chop off her own hand. Why does Ning Fan's hand have to drop something every time he goes through a tribulation? Woo, I won't send tribulations to the lower world anymore. I want the Imperial Monarch to find someone else to send tribulations to. I don't want to see Ning Fan anymore. Woo, she ran to the Master Calamity Palace and complained to someone else. The heavenly Dao spirit of the lower world was temporarily replaced by someone else. Finally, she did not need to send tribulations to Ning Fan anymore. After breaking through to the fourth level of fragmentation realm, Ning Fan's magic power increased by 20,000 yuan hui, reaching 420,000 yuan hui. After that, he began to break through to the fifth level of fragmentation realm. There were still 67 million Tao crystals left. Ning Fan spent 5 years to refine all of them. His magic power had reached more than 680,000 yuan hui, but the Tao crystals were all used up. Breaking through to the fifth level of fragmentation realm required 1 million yuan hui of magic power. Fortunately, Ning Fan still had a lot of pills that he snatched from others. They could increase void fragmentation realm magic power. However, after consuming them, his magic power only reached 700,000 yuan hui. He had been trapped in the stone chamber for 12 years. After spending 1 year, Ning Fan refined the 10 golden crystals of the ancient divine incense in his body. His magic power had increased to 740,000 yuan hui. He had a total of 581 dragon souls. A 9th grade dragon soul could increase 1,000 units of magic power. A 9th grade dragon soul was equivalent to 10,000 units of magic power. 581 dragon souls were supreme treasures to low-level cultivators. To him, however, their effect was almost negligible. He pondered for a moment and kept the sealing pot. He did not devour the dragon souls. It was better to leave these dragon souls for Ji He and the other women to devour slowly. With these dragon souls, even Bai Su who had just stepped into the Tao as a mortal would have an easy time attaining the divine transformation realm in this lifetime. After all, breaking through to the divine transformation realm only required 10,000 units of magic power. A first-grade dragon soul was enough. He had a total of 68 Dragon Balls. Among them, there were 2 Yin-Yang Dragon Balls and 3 first-grade Dragon Balls. The rest were all below the second grade. In total, these Dragon Balls could increase his magic power by nearly 250,000 yuan hui. Of course, Ning Fan was an ancient god with one orifice. If he devours the Dragon Balls, the effect would be doubled. After refining these Dragon Balls, I can break through to the 5th level of fragmentation realm. I wonder if I can refine the crystal of life and death while at the 5th level of fragmentation realm. If I can't. Another 6 years passed. Ning Fan had refined all of the Dragon Balls and his magic power had increased to 1.18 million yuan hui. After consuming the last 5 space-breaking pills, he left the profound Yin world. He sat cross-legged in the stone chamber and began to focus on breaking through to the 5th level of fragmentation realm. It took him 4 years just to break through the bottleneck. At the moment when he broke through the bottleneck, he entered the profound Yin world to undergo his tribulation. Sovereign lightning tribulation, Yin wind tribulation. After that, there were no more rewards from the heavenly Tao. That little girl seems to be gone. Ning Fan looked at the massive black and white ring in the sky and muttered to himself. After breaking through to the 5th level of fragmentation realm, Ning Fan's magic power increased by 30,000 yuan hui. It reached 1.21 million yuan hui. It had been 23 years since he was trapped in the stone chamber. Now that his cultivation base had reached this level, he already had the strength to fight against Moksha Sovereign. He tried to refine the crystal of life and death in his body. However, he helplessly realized that his cultivation base was still slightly lacking if he wanted to refine this crystal. If he could break through to the 6th level of fragmentation realm, this gap would no longer exist. So I have no choice but to consume the emergence pill. Ning Fan sighed softly. The emergence pill had an extremely small probability of helping a void fragmentation realm cultivator to become an immortal in a single step. It also had a 100% chance of helping a void fragmentation realm cultivator directly advance to the next heavenly layer. To him, an emergence pill was equivalent to a heavenly layer. Consuming the 5 shattering pills would allow one to break through the 6 shattering pills. Consuming the 8th shatterer would allow one to break through to the 9th shatterer level. If consumed by 9 splitters, they could reach the peak of 9 splitter in a single step, and thus reach immortal ascension. Naturally, it was better to take this pill as late as possible. However, he had no other choice. In order to leave this place, he could only consume the emergence pill to raise his cultivation. He had spent a total of 10 years to refine the emergence pill. Without the help of the profound Yin world, he would need to spend 1,000 years to refine this pill. For others, it would probably take thousands of years. 3 months in the profound Yin world, 3 days in the outside world, and the cycle repeated. His magic power was increasing bit by bit towards 3 million yuan. The moment Ning Fan refined the emergence pill, he did not even attempt to break through the bottleneck on his own. Instead, he directly broke through the bottleneck of the 6th shattering realm. At the moment when he broke through the bottleneck, his body floated in the air, as if he was about to ascend to immortality. He was lucky enough to trigger the emergence pill's tiny chance of becoming an immortal. If this matter were to spread out, it was unknown how many old monsters in the 9 worlds would be envious. In the profound Yin world, Ning Fan sat cross-legged on the ground and raised his head to look at the sky. The probability of triggering the emergence elixir to become an immortal shocked him. However, on second thought, he felt that everything was within reason. His physique could be said to be perfect. He cultivated both the god, demon, and demon body at the same time, awakening the ancient god and ancient demon bodies, and even perfecting the lesser 5 elements constitution. With such a perfect physique, he could be considered to have the most top-notch cultivation potential. It was naturally not surprising that the emergence pill could allow him to become an immortal directly. However, Ning Fan knitted his brows tightly. He tried to assimilate the life and death crystal inside of him, and found that now that he was a 6th demolisher, he was strong enough to escape. The path to immortality was right beneath his feet. As long as he was willing, he could borrow the power of the emergence elixir and ascend to immortality in one go. But he didn't want to. Without the Tao of life and death, even if he could become an immortal now, he would only be relying on pills to forcefully increase his cultivation base. Even though he could become an immortal, he lacked the link of perceiving life and death. If he really becomes an immortal, he would probably be stuck at the life immortal realm for the rest of his life. Life immortal realm experts were not his only enemies. If his cultivation base stops at the life immortal realm, he would definitely regret it in the future. After taking a deep breath, Ning Fan slowly dispersed the momentum of ascending to immortality in his physical body. His eyes gradually became clear. He did not care about the chance to become an immortal that was envied by tens of thousands of people. He stood up and the aura force of the 6th Demolisher realm soared. He went through the Sovereign Lightning Tribulation and broke the Yin Wind Tribulation. His magic power eventually stopped at 3.05 million yuan. As for his spirit sense, it had just broken through to the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. If he transforms and uses the soul extraction technique, his cultivation base would instantly reach the peak of the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The mountain world was nothing to be afraid of. The 3 Worlds sect was also nothing to be afraid of. As for Moksha Sovereign, he was even less of a threat. However, there was a small flaw in his plan. After being trapped in a stone room for 33 years, Ning Fan had to rely on all kinds of heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures to improve his cultivation base. Only by going through real battles and massacres could his magic power solidify again. Throughout his journey, he had relied on the magic power he had accumulated through battles to improve his cultivation base by borrowing pills and pills. After going through 4 Sovereign Lightning Tribulations in a row, Ning Fan's Flying Dragon of Sovereign Qi had already grown to 6 Zhonglong. The Sovereign Qi aura force contained in this Flying Dragon was comparable to the total of 60 traces of Sovereign Qi. Even if 60 Rain Sovereigns stood together, their Sovereign Qi aura force would not be stronger than Ning Fan's. Ning Fan had already wasted too much time in this place. He didn't want to spend any more time here. Counting the time, there were only a few years left before the opening of the ancient heavenly court. He wondered how 7 Apricot City, Yu Country, and the Rain World were doing. Ning Fan walked out of his temporary cave dwelling. The ancient golden sword had already absorbed the power of the profound yellow crystal on its own, greatly increasing its speed. If this ancient sword moves at full speed, even ordinary rogue immortals would not be able to catch up to him. After keeping the ancient sword, Ning Fan went to check on Luo Yu. She had already refined the power of the demon divine pill. She had been paying attention to Ning Fan's cultivation. After refining the demon divine pill, Luo Yu's cultivation base recovered to the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. She looked at Ning Fan with a faint smile. Her eyes sparkled. Little brother is really amazing. You're already at the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Hee hee. With your current cultivation base, I wonder if Moksha Sovereign would flee in fear if we're in the ancient heavenly court. You should know that he bullied you badly in 7 Apricot City in the past. Moksha Sovereign is nothing to be afraid of. As for you, your cultivation base has yet to recover to the peak 9 shattering realm. I also haven't found a strong enough physical body for you. I'm afraid you still have to wait for a long time before you can truly be resurrected. Ning Fan said apologetically. Hee hee. There's no hurry. Really. I'm not in a hurry at all. Or are you in a hurry to chase me away? Luo Yu looked at Ning Fan in a flirtatious manner. Her eyes were filled with teasing. If you like it, you can stay in the profound Yin world for the rest of your life. I will never chase you away. Ning Fan sighed. With a sway of his body, he left the profound Yin world. He knew that Luo Yu would eventually leave because of the hatred that could never be erased. The reason why Luo Yu did not tell him who her enemy was because he was still too weak. He could do whatever he wanted in the lower worlds. However, if he goes to the upper worlds, he would probably just be an insignificant speck of dust. When Luo Yu was at her peak, she was at the Shikong realm. Even though she had such a powerful cultivation base, she was still pursuing the yin-yang locket to find a way to increase her strength. This was enough to prove that her enemy was far stronger than the Shikong realm. Perhaps it was an immortal emperor or even stronger than an immortal emperor. Ning Fan returned to the outside world. He sat in a meditative position at the corner of the ice bed where the two ladies were sleeping and began to refine the 7 pieces of life and death crystals. After breaking through to the 6th shattering realm, he could clearly sense the powerful energy and magic power contained within the crystals. They were extremely pure Tao power without any magic power. It did not matter whether one refined Tao power in the profound Yin world or not. The profound Yin world could speed up the circulation of magic power, but it could not speed up a cultivator's comprehension of Tao power. This ice bed could help one comprehend life and death. The effect of refining the life and death crystals in this place was much better than in the profound Yin world. In the first year, Ning Fan refined the first piece of life and death crystal and there were 100 more traces of Tao marks of life and death. In the second year, Ning Fan refined the second piece of life and death crystal. The third year, the fourth year, the fifth year. On the 7th year, Ning Fan refined the last piece of the life and death crystal. The number of Tao marks of life and death on his primordial spirit had reached 1220. At the moment when he refined all of the life and death crystals, Ning Fan lost consciousness and fell into a dream. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu's expression changed, revealing a rare look of astonishment. Life and death tribulation. He actually triggered the life and death tribulation. This is a great tribulation that cultivators in ancient times experienced and they become immortals. There is a great opportunity in this tribulation. Could it be that the 7 pieces of life and death crystals helped him trigger the life and death tribulation? After cultivating for 100 years, Ning Fan entered dreams to look at life and death. A dream in the outside world would only last for 3 days. However, he experienced 3 lifetimes and 3 lives in the life and death tribulation. Those were 3 illusory dreams that seemed to be real. On a cultivation planet called Vermilion Bird Planet, in a certain cultivation country, a white-robed scholar who was sleeping soundly at a table suddenly woke up in a tavern in the outskirts of a city. There were many customers in the tavern. The fragrance of wine wafted in the air and there was also a hint of golden grain rice. Who am I? The white-robed scholar's eyes were blank. He couldn't remember that he was Ning Fan. This was the life and death tribulation. No one would remember who they were in the life and death tribulation. When they remember who they were, they would be able to break through the tribulation. Brother Lu, could it be that you become stupid from sleeping? You and I went to the capital for the imperial examinations together. We were tired from the long journey so we decided to take a nap in this tavern. How come you can't remember who you are after a nap? Zhang Sheng, who was wearing a green robe, looked at Ning Fan and shook his head with a smile. My surname is Lu. I am going to the capital for the imperial examinations. Why do I have to rush for the imperial examinations? Why do people live and why do they die? Ning Fan's eyes were blank. Of course, we are rushing for the imperial examinations to obtain scholarly honors, obtain a rich future, protect our descendants and bring honor to our ancestors. Zhang Xing said with a smile. Riches and future. What's the use of these? Everyone will die eventually. What's the use of these? Compared to obtaining riches and honor, I want to know who I am more. I want to know what life and death are. Ning Fan's expression was very serious and he didn't seem to be joking. Zhang Xing was displeased. He thought that Ning Fan was just joking, but now it seemed that Ning Fan really didn't have the ambition to obtain scholarly honors. Since Brother Lu looks down on riches and honor, I guess you don't want to go to the capital with me for the imperial examinations, right? Yes, I don't want to obtain scholarly honors. Ning Fan nodded. If that's the case, you are not my friend. Our friendship as schoolmates will end today. Zhang Xing coldly snorted. He carried the bookshelf bag on his back and untied a green colt next to the willow tree outside the tavern. Ning Fan looked at Zhang Xing leaving, but he didn't look disappointed. Indeed, he wasn't Zhang Xing's friend and Zhang Xing wasn't his friend. The two of them had different goals and couldn't work together. Haha, this little brother is really interesting. Just now, he was full of passion and said that he wanted to pass the imperial examinations and bring honor to his ancestors. Who would have thought that after a nap beside the golden millet tree, he actually doesn't want to go to the capital to take the imperial examinations? Could it be that he knows that he won't be able to obtain scholarly honors, so he wants to go home and farm? A customer said with a smile. Farming is not a bad choice. There are always great daos hidden in the wilderness, but the current me doesn't want to farm. I only want to comprehend life and death. Ning Fan stood up and glanced at the bag. He slightly frowned but didn't take it. In the bag, there was a cotton coat, a cloth shirt, 10 taels of silver, the pass and more than 10 books. I don't need these. Count them as wine money. Give me some good wine. As for my horse, I don't need it either. Just change it to wine. The tavern owner was startled, then he put on a smile and took out 7 jars of century-old wine from the cellar. The other things weren't worth much, but the green colt was a good horse. 10 taels of silver wasn't a small amount, so the tavern owner was naturally very happy to do business with Ning Fan. These wines are very heavy. I wonder if you have a servant to carry them. And this pass, it's better if you don't throw it away. Without it, there will be a lot of trouble. I don't need a servant or a pass. Although I don't remember who I am, carrying these jars is a piece of cake for me. Ning Fan flicked his sleeves and kept the 7 jars of wine. His figure flickered, and he vanished without a trace, drifting away. Clang! The wine bowls in the hands of countless customers fell to the ground. The tavern owner was dumbfounded. In the next moment, countless people knelt on the ground and kowtowed in the direction of Ning Fan's departure. Immortal. Immortal master. I didn't expect that scholar to be an immortal master. No wonder he didn't want to take the scholarly examination. Scholarly rank is useless to an immortal master. It's over. I just laughed at that immortal master. I wonder if he will grant me death. I'm so scared. The customer who laughed at Ning Fan was now pale. He didn't know that Ning Fan disdained to bully a mortal. Ning Fan flew all the way, passing through a few cultivation countries. His eyes were blank as he still couldn't remember who he was. Drizzle gradually fell from the sky and the night fell. In the rainy night, there was a broken temple in front of him. Countless people were taking shelter from the rain in this temple. Chapter 669. It was an abandoned temple. The red paint was peeling and the door knocker was rusty. Outside the temple, it was raining at night, giving off a feeling of desolation and loneliness. Inside the temple, 5 people wearing straw raincoats started a bonfire. They took out some dry rations and chatted loudly while eating. Ning Fan sat at the corner of the temple. He had no intention of talking to anyone. His clothes were not wet at all. With the strength of his rain intent, he would not be drenched by the rain if he did not want to. Kid, you look like a scholar. Why didn't you bring any luggage with you? Could it be that you were robbed by bandits? A burly man in a straw raincoat looked at Ning Fan from top to bottom. When he saw that Ning Fan had nothing on him, he could not help but burst into laughter. Come, help us gather some firewood and add some fuel to the fire. I will let you eat some meat. Another burly man who was gnawing on half a roasted chicken said with a laugh. His words were filled with sarcasm. The 5 of them were people from the Green Forest. They had never looked up to a weak scholar like Ning Fan, but they were making fun of him. Ning Fan glanced at them indifferently and did not say anything. Naturally, he would not add fuel to their firewood and beg for food. He disdained to beg. What he liked was to rob others. However, he disdained to rob a few mortals. He had his own principles. Seeing that Ning Fan was ignoring them, the 5 burly men in woven rush capes lost their interest. They ignored Ning Fan and began to talk about other things. Ning Fan looked at the rain outside the temple and his state of mind gradually became calm. He could not remember who he was, but he remembered all the insights he had about the rain. He remembered all of his divine arts, he remembered all of his killings, the only thing he could not remember was who he was. Suddenly, Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He saw a white-robed young man walking slowly in the rain. The young man had an ordinary appearance, but when he walked, he naturally had the temperament of someone who would go through life and death together. That young man was not far from the spirit-severing realm. His cultivation base was secondary, but his Tao of life and death was slightly higher than Ning Fan. This man's spirit-severing realm intent realm is actually life and death. Ning Fan's expression did not change, but his heart was shocked. Since ancient times, life and death were the Tao that immortals needed to comprehend. However, there was a nascent soul realm cultivator who entered the spirit-severing realm through life and death. Although this person's cultivation was low, his comprehension wasn't any weaker than his. The white-robed youth frowned as he looked at the 5 men in woven rush capes gathered around the bonfire. His life and death intent domain had a sign of starting to change in this rainy night. However, the rude behavior of these 5 men had destroyed this atmosphere. He was about to find a corner to sit down when his gaze suddenly changed. He saw Ning Fan sitting in the corner, looking at him with a smile. Ning Fan was originally here, but his chi was too restrained. For a moment, the white-robed young man nearly ignored him. The white-clothed youth had rarely encountered such a thing in his life, except for a few powerful figures. Like Situ Nan, like Young Kizi, this person is a cultivator, and his cultivation base far surpasses mine. However, he doesn't seem to have any ill intentions towards me. The white-robed young man sat beside Ning Fan's. He nodded slightly to Ning Fan's, but didn't say anything. He lifted his head to look at the rain outside the temple. Ning Fan also did not say much. He was also looking at the rain, as if any unnecessary words would destroy the beauty of this rainy night. I finally found shelter from the rain. A voice resounded in the temple. Immediately, another person entered the temple to seek shelter from the rain. It was a tall and burly man wearing a thin robe. As soon as the burly man entered the temple, his eyes swept across the people in the temple. However, his gaze stopped on Ning Fan, the white-robed youth. Oh! I didn't expect to see someone with the same cultivation base in this temple. My name is Mog. How do I address you two friends? I'm from the mountains. I don't have any name. Just call me Danyo. The white-robed youth cupped his fists and said. I don't know who I am. Some people call me Lu Sheng, but I have a feeling that this isn't my real name. Ning Fan also cupped his fists at the burly man. He could vaguely see that this burly man was extraordinary. This person's intent domain was very similar to Yun Bushu's. It was the intent domain of forgetfulness. However, the difference between his and Yun Bushu's cultivation base was like heaven and earth. This person's cultivation base wasn't even at the first step of Tao cultivation. He wasn't even at the life immortal realm, Interesting. Could it be that this scholar really met a bandit and was beaten silly? How could he not remember who he is? The burly men in woven rush capes laughed. Moj, on the other hand, faintly sensed something from Ning Fan, but he wasn't too sure. Then, he smiled and said, "So Brother Lu also doesn't know who you are. You are very similar to me. It's rare to meet two people with the same cultivation base here. Why don't we sit down and discuss the Tao in this rainy night?" Discuss the Tao. Ning Fan's eyes were sometimes blank and sometimes clear. Even though he didn't know who he was, he knew that he was pursuing the Tao of life and death. Discussing the Tao was good too. As for wine, he had bought quite a lot of it. It would be great if there was good wine during the Tao discussion. Ning Fan didn't say much. He flicked his sleeve and took out 3 jars of wine. He took one for himself and gave one to Moj and Denyo. The white-robed youth who was called Denyo smiled lightly. He took the jar of wine and gulped it down. He was a free and easy person. Moj was startled. He also took the wine and laughed heartily, drinking it to his heart's content. Then, he looked at Denyo and said, "Brother Denyo's cultivation base is shocking. If I'm not mistaken, you should have reached the realm of soul-locking intent domain. You have a chance to break through Yun Shao." Denyo's expression changed slightly. He revealed a cautious expression and avoided talking about his own cultivation base. Not far away from the campfire, one of the few burly men sneered loudly. "What are you guys talking about? We don't understand a single word of it. What's soul-locking intent domain? You still have a chance to break through Yun Shao. Are you guys crazy?" Moj looked at Ning Fan again. After taking a closer look, his eyes became more and more serious. His seriousness was not because of Ning Fan's cultivation base but because he had noticed something else. Brother Lu's cultivation base is also shocking. What surprised me the most is that Brother Lu doesn't seem to be someone from this world. Brother Lu seems to have come from outside the defying mortal world. No, Brother Lu comes from outside the 4 great worlds. You are a cultivator from the outer world. May I know which immortal region Brother Lu came from? Ning Fan's eyes were stunned and he said with a little confusion. "I don't know." The burly men beside the bonfire laughed again. "Ha! What inner world? What outer world? What outer world? These people are really crazy." Moj smiled faintly. He was not angry. "What you said is right. The word crazy is very well used. If one is not crazy, it would naturally be difficult to comprehend the heavenly Tao. If one is not crazy, who would seek the art of immortality? This is the saying that if heaven desires something, there must be a desire." The burly man beside the bonfire frowned and scolded. "He really is a madman. I don't understand a single word of it." Moj could not help but laugh. He shook his head gently and looked at Denyo. "Brother Denyo, do you understand?" Denyo said. "Brother, there is a profound meaning in your words." "I don't understand. But I think. The word crazy. The land isn't good. It's better to use infatuation." "Well said. The word infatuation. Very good. If the people of our generation don't have infatuation, they will definitely not be able to achieve the right result. You will definitely not be able to cultivate to fruition, and the heavenly Tao will be destroyed." Moj stopped laughing and looked at Ning Fan. "What do you think of the word infatuation?" Infatuation. Ning Fan's eyes became even more dazed. "Whether I am crazy or infatuated, I can still pursue the Tao. However, my Tao is obsession. My obsession is in my heart. That's why I became a devil." Obsession. Moj and Denyo revealed a thoughtful expression. Obsession was being trapped by love and being bewitched by the Tao. It was because love could defy the heavens. Obsession was locking the love in one's heart. One would rather have the heart devil in one's heart than to retreat or give up. G. Obsession. Where were we just now? I was careless and forgot everything. Mo's face suddenly showed a dazed expression. So you really are a madman. The burly men beside the bonfire laughed. Forget it. It's fine if you have forgotten. I am Mog. How do I address you two fellow Taoists? Dinyo. Dinyo's eyes flickered as if he had discovered something. Maybe my surname is Lu. Maybe not. Ning Fan was at a loss again. Mog nodded his head. He looked at the rainy night outside and praised. The beauty of a rainy night lies in its artistic conception. It lies in its endless life. The flowers and grass absorb the water vapor. The original death intent will also quietly flow away. This is the beauty of a rainy night and also the taste of life. Outside the temple, the sound of rain falling could be heard. Occasionally, lightning would flash across the sky, illuminating the rainy night. The bonfire inside the temple flickered between light and darkness, illuminating the surroundings. It was like the transition between life and death. The change between light and darkness seemed to contain the Tao of life and death. Light was life and darkness was death. In the flickering of light and darkness, life and death would intertwine. What is life? Just as Dinyo was about to ask this question, Ning Fan had already asked it. Ning Fan's heart was at a loss. It was the confusion of not being able to comprehend life and death. Mog pointed at the bonfire and said, "This fire is life." Why? I don't know what life is, but I have often heard mortals say, make fire, make fire. I think this fire is life. Madman. This time, the burly men beside the bonfire looked at Mog with a strange expression. What is death? Ning Fan asked again. Just as Mog was about to answer, his eyes suddenly became confused again. After a while, he looked around blankly. Where were we before? Without waiting for Ning Fan and Dinyo to speak, a burly man beside the bonfire immediately said, "That scholar just asked you, what is death?" Mog looked at Ning Fan apologetically. He hesitated for a moment and asked, "I think you already know my name. May I know how to address you?" Another burly man beside the bonfire said with a smile, "He has a bad memory like you. He can't remember who he is. He only knows that his surname is Lu." The apologetic look in Mog's eyes became thicker. Ever since I comprehended the heavenly Tao, my memory has been deteriorating. I hope Brother Lu can forgive me. This person really comprehended the intent of forgetfulness. Dinyo pondered. Hey, you haven't said what death is. Go on, it's interesting. A burly man beside the bonfire urged. What is death? Death is death. If a person dies, they die. If their heart dies, they forget. This is death. Today, there is rootless water. The water in this bottomless land is life. In the future, when the rootless water is lost, the water in this bottomless land is death. There is no vitality and no flow. This is the so-called stagnant water. Mog pointed at the burly men beside the bonfire and said, "Today, they can be happy, angry, sad and happy. This is life. In the future, they won't be happy, angry, sad or happy. They won't be able to escape the cycle of samsara. This is death." Mog pointed at the petal cushion inside the temple and said, "When the statue of the god in this temple is here, the temple is alive. Now that the statue has disappeared, it is death." Speaking until here, he stood up and pointed at the sky. This rain is born from the sky and dies on the earth. The process in between is the life of the rain. The reason why I look at the rain is not to look at the sky or the earth. I'm not looking at the rain, but the life of the rain. This is life and death. After listening to Mo's profound words, the confusion in Danyo's heart disappeared. He seemed to have understood something. He stood up and cupped his fists at Mo. At this moment, Danyo had yet to attain spirit-severing realm, but he could almost follow Mo through life and death. The blankness in Ning Fan's eyes faded a little, but he still couldn't understand it completely. He always felt that Mo's words were one-sided. He talked about the death of the temple, the death of the rain, the death of mortals, the death of flowers, trees, and humans, but he didn't mention the death of immortals. For those who are at the peak of the Tao, they might seem immortal on the surface, but in reality, they will still die, right? If that's the case, what is immortality? Ning Fan suddenly asked. This question suddenly turned into two thunderbolts that exploded in Danyo and Mo's mind. Danyo was at a loss again when he just understood the meaning of life and death. He had never thought about this question before. Mo's expression changed. His master was a peerless expert. He had never thought that his master would fall one day. Would he die? Would he die? He thought that his understanding of the heavenly Tao was profound, but the heavenly Tao that he saw was still one-sided. Did the immortality that he pursued not exist from the beginning? The death of mortals and cultivators should be different from the death of fourth-step cultivators. The death of a fourth-step cultivator should have touched the origin of Tao. All of a sudden, Mo seemed to have realized something. He looked at Ning Fan with surprise. I know now. The reason why you can appear in the defying earth world is because, he had heard from his master that there was a fourth-step supremacy among the experts of the outer world who transformed his body into heaven and earth and used his dream to transform his reincarnation. The reincarnation cycle of that person had a life and death tribulation that could help cultivators peak into the supreme great Tao. The Ning Fan in front of them might be a cultivator who was undergoing the life and death tribulation in that immortal region. The Ning Fan they saw was not real. What Ning Fan saw was also not real. One side was real while the other side was definitely an illusion. Both of them could never coexist in this rainy night. I still don't understand the Tao of life and death. Even if I step on the path of life and death, I might still not understand it. Stepping on the path of life and death is just the first step to thoroughly understand life and death. Many life immortals haven't even achieved this first step. However, I seem to have remembered who I am. Brother Mo is right. As long as the heart is not dead, everything can be recalled. Is this the fortune that I obtained after refining the 7 pieces of life and death crystals? Life and death tribulation. I am Ning Fan. The obsession in my heart can't be erased even by reincarnation. This life and death tribulation also can't deceive my heart. Ning Fan pointed his finger and the entire world shattered like glass. Even though Mo's words did not touch upon the origin of Tao, it gave Ning Fan a lot of enlightenment. There were 500 more Tao marks of life and death on his primordial spirit, making a total of 1,720 lines. The scenery in front of him changed rapidly. The first stage of the life and death tribulation had been broken. It was a very good Tao discussion. According to Mo, I don't belong to the same reincarnation cycle as them. Perhaps, I won't be able to meet them again. This life and death tribulation is really mysterious. It actually allowed me to meet people from other reincarnations. Is this the technique of immortal sovereign Zido? Ning Fan's body gradually dissipated and the world began to condense again. In a place called the Ning family village in the Aparagodania continent, there was a local tycoon. People called him Old Rich Ning. According to the rumors in the village, this man had 2 lovely wives, each as beautiful as a flower or jade. Within the Ning family village, in a certain deep courtyard, a man and 2 women were on the bed making love in a bedroom. The man was a handsome young man with fair skin. His eyes were filled with lust as he was conquering the bodies of the 2 beautiful women. Both of the women were extremely beautiful. One of them had black eyes that resembled black gemstones. Her name was Xiao. The other one had blood-red eyes and was enduring the young man's attack. Her name was Hong. That young man was old rich Ning. As for the two women, they were naturally his beautiful wives who were serving him in bed. While they were attacking each other, the young man suddenly stopped. He looked at the two beauties below him in disbelief. His facial expression was extremely ugly, as if he had swallowed a fly. "Why am I here? Who am I? You are. Although I can't remember your names, I vaguely remember that I shouldn't do this to you. Our relationship hasn't reached this stage yet. My head hurts. Husband, why did you stop? Hurry up." Xiao eyes were blurred. She was panting and her chest was slightly moving up and down. However, she was smiling slyly. "Humph, you can't even do this? Didn't you want to fight with me for 300 rounds? Hong sneered. She moved her body and put something into it again. Ah, the veins on old rich Ning's forehead popped. He couldn't do it. He was actually rejected by Hong. Although he couldn't remember who he was, he remembered that he was the lord of the Ning family village. He was the husband of Hong and Xiao. It seemed natural for a husband to be like a fish in water. "I'll let you see if your husband can't do it anymore." Old rich Ning bent down and pressed down, his palms moved around the two women's bodies. After a bout of madness, it was already evening. The two women had already fallen asleep with satisfaction. Old rich Ning got up and changed his clothes. He felt refreshed, but he had a strange feeling in his heart. He felt that he really shouldn't do this to the two women. However, the two women were his wives and concubines. Why couldn't he do this? In his memory, he had already done it with his children countless times. Why, it was as if he had forgotten something important. "Old master, the demon is here. A monk who claims to be from Tang Tang of the eastern land has brought 3 demons into the village." Monk? Demon? Old rich Ning's eyes turned serious. He pushed the door open and a sharp aura condensed in his eyes. The servant girl who came to report the news thought that her master would be as timid as before. She didn't expect her master's eyes to be so sharp today. He wasn't afraid when he heard that the demons had entered the village. "With me here, the Ning family village will be fine. Bring me to see the monk and the demon." The servant girl was stunned. Her master had never been so heroic. Why was he different today? He really wasn't afraid of the demon and wanted to see the demon. He even said that he wanted to protect the Ning family village. She led Ning Fan out of the house and searched for the monk and the demon. Suddenly, she heard a thunder-like roar. "Hey! Why can't I see anyone in such a big village? Come out for Grandpa Pig. Quickly serve good wine and dishes to show respect to your Grandpa Pig." A black bristled boar demon carried a rake and walked towards them casually. When he saw the extraordinary appearance of the servant girl in front of Ning Fan, his small eyes immediately turned green and filled with a wretched smile. Hee. "How should I address you, miss?" He went forward and tried to strike up a conversation with the servant girl. The servant girl was so frightened that she fell to the ground. Her body was trembling and she hugged old rich Ning's thigh. Her eyes were asking for help. "What does the name of my servant have to do with you?" Old rich Ning's left eye suddenly flashed with a purple-black light. A wave of demon ancestor aura suddenly pressed down on the black-bristled boar demon. The instant the boar demon came into contact with the demonic aura, his expression changed drastically. His demon blood uncontrollably trembled. You are the demon ancestor. You are the eternal immortal venerable." In the boar demon's impression, the demon ancestor was equivalent to the eternal immortal venerable. The eternal immortal venerable was someone who was at the peak of the second step of Tao cultivation. In the future, perhaps he should be called the immortal emperor. Of course, he was terrified. Wu Ning, don't be rude. A fair-skinned monk walked towards Ning Fan and put his palms together. I come from the great Tang of the eastern lands. Since it's already late, I would like to stay in your manor for the night. I have 3 disciples and each of them has a stunning appearance. Please forgive me if they have disturbed you, manor lord. Old Rich Ning cupped his fists at the monk. Then, his gaze shifted to the other 2 disciples behind the monk. Finally, his eyes fell on the monk. When he met the monk's clear eyes, Old Rich Ning seemed to have recalled something. I am Ning Fan. Who is this monk? He's clearly just a mortal, but his eyes are as sharp as Meng Xuanzi's. Meng Xuanzi is the tablet-wielding immortal emperor. Is this person also an immortal emperor? May I know how to address you, elder? Ning Fan cupped his fists and asked. The people of the world call me Xuanzang. You are different from the people of this world. You can call me Golden Cicada. As you expected, I was probably the immortal emperor you mentioned in my previous life. In this life, I'm just a mortal who wholeheartedly worships Buddha. Golden Cicada said with a smile. His eyes were empty, as if he could see through Ning Fan's thoughts. This person, what a strange divine ability. Chapter 670. At night, Jin Chan and his 3 disciples rested in the Ning family manor. The 3 demon disciples of Jin Chan were arranged to stay in one of the empty courtyards in the manor. Jin Chan himself was invited to Ning Fan's room for a talk by candlelight. As for Ning Fan's 2 lovely wives, they had already returned to their own rooms to sleep. After the battle during the day, the 2 of them had suffered a lot. Perhaps they would not want to sleep for a few days. The candle flame flickered. Ning Fan would occasionally cut the candle with a pair of scissors. He looked at Jin Chan without saying a word. Jin Chan also smiled without saying a word. It was as if the 2 of them were doing a silent meditation of nothingness. Amitabha. Manor Lord's mind is indeed calm. You are indeed someone who has escaped from the tribulation. Is Manor Lord comprehending life and death in this tribulation? Jin Chan said with a smile. Yes. I have quite an understanding of life and death. My body and Tao have already become one. For those who have reached the first step of Tao cultivation, if they eat a mouthful of my flesh, they will understand life and death and become immortal. Buddhism is the law of fate. Since I am fated with Manor Lord, I am willing to sacrifice my cultivation to give Manor Lord a piece of flesh. No need. I would like to hear Elder Jin Chan's opinion on life and death. Ning Fan shook his head. Manor Lord is indeed extraordinary. Jin Chan nodded and continued. What Manor Lord wants to know is which ring of the heavenly Tao is life and death. Which ring of the heavenly Tao? Ning Fan frowned deeply. Mortals and those who have reached the first step of Tao cultivation are in the first ring of the heavenly Tao. If they die, their souls can enter samsara. If their souls die, they will lose the chance to be reincarnated and lose their true path forever. Their life is just a process of walking towards death step by step. Their death is a process of walking towards life step by step. Their life and death is a circle that constantly alternates and repeats. Therefore, there is a saying in Buddhism that everything is nothingness, like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like dew or lightning. Their life and death are all illusions. Now, I am also in the first ring of the heavenly Tao. Life and death are just illusions. Ning Fan pondered. The second step of Tao cultivation allows one to be listed on the immortal list and become an immortal. Their souls fused with their primordial spirits. When their bodies died, their primordial spirits remained. When their primordial spirits died, their souls also died. They would never be able to reincarnate. They had obtained immortality, so if they died, they would die forever and lose their true path forever. But for those who had attained Tao, if their Tao hadn't disappeared yet, they could be reborn with the help of the saints whose Tao had surpassed the second ring of the heavenly Tao. In the second step of Tao cultivation, their life and death is a straight line that extends endlessly. If this straight line stops extending one day, it will be the time of their death. The price of longevity is a long death. The price of immortality is immortality. Ning Fan's mind rumbled. The puzzle that had puzzled him for a long time was finally solved. What is immortality? Immortality is to give up the chance to enter the reincarnation cycle and fight for this life at the cost of immortality. He suddenly understood the meaning of immortal Emperor Zi-Do's Tao him. Death is like the extinguishing of a lamp, and reincarnation blows and reignites. The death of an immortal is like the scattering of one's thoughts. This life will never come back. If an immortal dies, this life will never come back. On the surface, Mu Weiliang was dead. However, her soul was still there. Therefore, she was not really dead. Therefore, she still had a chance to be resurrected. Lightning Emperor Tai Su was dead. His death was too thorough. His body was dead, his soul was destroyed and his Tao vanished. He could never be resurrected in this life and had no chance of reincarnation. Originally, he had the chance to be reborn. However, in order to save Ning Fan, he destroyed his own Tao. Lightning Emperor Tai Su saved me with his life that day. I actually didn't know about it. Ning Fan closed his eyes in disappointment. Those who have attained the third step of Tao cultivation are called saints. They are situated in the third ring of the heavenly Tao. I don't know about the life and death of a saint. However, I have heard the revered one of the world saying, all forms are fabricated. If all forms are not real, then one would see Tathagata. From this point of view, the saint realm should already be a realm where life is neither life nor death. It is an indescribable and mysterious realm that I don't know. As soon as Jin Chan finished speaking, he smiled and looked at Ning Fan quietly. He had said all these. If Ning Fan understood it, then he understood it. If he didn't, then he didn't. Nothing in this world could be forced. Will the fourth step of Tao cultivation fall under the fourth ring of the heavenly Tao? Will they die? Which ring of the heavenly Tao does Zhuhua belong to? Jin Chan's eyes suddenly turned solemn. Then, he revealed a thoughtful expression. He did not know if the fourth ring of the heavenly Tao really existed. However, he vaguely felt that he seemed to have sensed the existence of the fourth ring of the heavenly Tao before. He seemed to remember that his eldest disciple, Wukong, was not the same person as the Wukong in his memory. When Ning Fan asked this question, this strange feeling surged into his heart. Whether the fourth ring of the heavenly Tao exists or not, I don't know. I also don't know which ring of the heavenly Tao does Zhuhua belong to. Jin Chan sighed. Is that so? Ning Fan looked at the candle in a daze. Jin Chan also looked at the candle. Just like that, the two of them kept looking at the candle until it burned out. The sky brightened up. On the next day, Jin Chan and his disciple bid farewell to Ning Fan and continued their journey to the west. As for Ning Fan, he stayed in the Ning family village. He did not break through the second tribulation of life and death. He remembered who he was. He could obviously break through the tribulation, but he was unwilling to do so. During the day, he stood on a tall mountain outside the Ning family village, watching the changes of the wind and clouds, the alternation of the sun and the moon, the withering of the plants. At night, he also stood on the tall mountain, watching the moon set, the cries of the crows and the movement of the stars. Hong Er and Xiao Er also stood behind Ning Fan blankly. Each of their eyes revealed a gaze that seemed to understand life and death. They vaguely remembered that they did not seem to have the obligation to serve Ning Fan in bed, however, in name, they were obviously Ning Fan's wives. It did not seem to be inappropriate for them to have sex with him. They vaguely remembered that they were also pursuing the Tao of life and death. However, they could not remember who they were. 10 years. 100 years. 1,000 years. The three of them still stood on the tall mountain. As for the Ning family village, it was unknown how many generations of people had changed. Ning Fan had seen the life and death of mortals and the withering of plants. However, he gradually felt that he could not see through life and death anymore. However, the Tao marks of life and death on his primordial spirit had increased by another 500, making a total of 2220. Is it time for the next tribulation? Ning Fan sighed. He lifted his finger, intending to break this piece of heaven and earth. Seeing Ning Fan lift his finger, Xiao Er suddenly revealed a reluctant look. Hong Er's blood-red eyes flickered slightly. She was also reluctant to part with him. Are you going to leave, husband? You're leaving? Both of them asked almost at the same time. Yes. Before I leave, I should leave behind some souvenirs. Xiao Er suddenly revealed a cunning look. Souvenirs? What souvenirs? Before Ning Fan could react, Xiao Er had already pushed him to the top of the mountain. Hong Er, on the other hand, had already begun to undress, revealing her graceful body under the moonlight. She leaned on Ning Fan's body and caressed it. Souvenirs. What could be more unforgettable than a night of pleasure? If it's just an illusory realm during the tribulation. Forget it, Ning Fan turned around and pressed the two of them down. The second tribulation of life and death was still broken. Heaven and earth regained their clarity. Ning Fan appeared in an unfamiliar giant city. The spiritual qi here was several thousand times denser than in the rain world. The speed of cultivation in this place was unimaginable to ordinary people. In the sky of this place, there were countless extremely terrifying rays of light flying past. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the place. Most of the people here were immortals. Where is this place? Ning Fan asked himself. He even saw existences who were comparable to immortal emperors among those people. This time, he remembered that he was Ning Fan. However, he did not know where this place was and why the cultivators here had such terrifying cultivation bases. Dong, all of a sudden, the sound of a bell resounded across the sky. Countless immortals immediately became excited. The immortal sovereign is going to preach the Tao. Let's hurry to the great overarching heaven. Many cultivators whose cultivation base had yet to reach the second step sighed. Sigh. Cultivators at the first step like us can't enter the great overarching heaven. When will we have the chance to listen to the immortal sovereign's Tao preach? Ning Fan remained silent for a while. Then, he walked towards a cultivator who was at the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm and cupped his fists. Fellow Taoist, may I know where this place is? When the cultivator at the fourth heavenly layer saw Ning Fan's cultivation base at the sixth heavenly layer, he felt a little admiration for him. However, when he heard Ning Fan's silly question, he immediately said disdainfully, could it be that fellow Taoist made a mistake in your cultivation and damaged your sea of consciousness? You don't even know where this place is, I have indeed damaged my sea of consciousness. My memory is a little messed up. Ning Fan said, feeling a little speechless. I see. When it comes to cultivation, one mustn't be eager for instant benefits. You need to cultivate step by step in order to reach the peak. After giving Ning Fan some advice, he continued. This is the Zido Immortal Domain. It used to be the Ziwei Immortal Domain and the Beidou Immortal Domain. There were endless wars and massacres. Immortal Emperor Ziwei and Immortal Emperor Beidou were both fourth-step experts. Both of them were extremely strong. However, an expert appeared later on and killed the two immortal emperors alone. He single-handedly eliminated the two immortal sovereigns alone. With just a finger, he defeated all the immortal emperors of 1 billion worlds and put down the rebellions of two great immortal domains, unifying 1 billion worlds. He is immortal sovereign Zido. When he thought of this, the cultivator could not help but reveal a delighted and fascinated expression. Ever since immortal sovereign Zido guarded the ancient immortal domain and forbade killing, no one in 1 billion worlds dared to disrespect him. In the current world of cultivation, no one dared to kill others and rob them of their treasures. No one dared to violate the moral code and kill their own kin. No one dared to bully men and take advantage of women. Even immortal emperors did not dare to bully first-step cultivators. It was because Zido did not allow it. No one could do what he did not allow. Otherwise, they would die. He used the slaughter of a single person to bring peace to 1 billion worlds. In the Zido immortal domain, there was not much difference between immortals and mortals. There was also not much difference between mortals and livestock. Tigers could not eat humans and humans could not eat livestock. Everyone had a Tao in their heart. Even mortals could prolong their lives. Ning Fan's eyes widened. The atmosphere of cultivation in the Zido immortal domain was beyond Ning Fan's imagination, who lived in a chaotic world. Killing others and robbing their treasures, massacring sects and exterminating entire clans were almost common occurrences in the era that Ning Fan lived in. No one could change the entire world. Zido was the only one. He used the slaughter of a single person to pacify the world. Ning Fan felt a trace of hot blood flowing through his heart. It was a feeling that he had never felt before. If it's possible, if there's even a trace of possibility, I can also be like Zido and use the slaughter of a single person to pacify the world and create a cultivation world that I yearn for. This thought only rose in his mind for a moment before it was erased from his heart. He then revealed a bitter smile. The reason why no one disobeyed Zido's order was because he was strong. Zido could kill 2 immortal sovereigns on his own. Even if the immortal emperors of 1 billion worlds joined forces, they would not be a match for him. He just used a finger to defeat all the immortal emperors of 1 billion worlds. That kind of strength was beyond Ning Fan's imagination. Without such strength, who would obey his order? Ning Fan shook his head helplessly. His strength was weak and he had already exhausted all his strength to protect himself. Pacifying the world was probably just a dream. When Ning Fan was sighing, the 4 cultivators had already left. However, a slightly reproachful voice entered Ning Fan's ears from behind. How will you know the outcome of everything in this world if you don't try? A man can grow old and his strength can decline, but his heart cannot die and his ideals cannot be extinguished. This voice was so familiar that it made Ning Fan turn his head abruptly. He saw a young man who was dressed in purple robes and had an elegant demeanor standing behind Ning Fan. He was slightly frowning at him. That young man had long hair that flowed like a waterfall. His appearance was handsome and there was a purplish-golden mark of stone flame on his glabella. His eyes were filled with vicissitudes as if he had lived for too long and had been lonely for too long. As soon as Ning Fan saw him, his eyes widened. He immediately bowed deeply and said respectfully, "Teacher, this purple-robed young man was none other than immortal sovereign Zido." After hearing Ning Fan address him in such a manner, Zido's frown eased. He reached out his hand and patted Ning Fan's shoulder. "You've grown up. You've also begun to transcend the life and death tribulation. Not bad." As soon as he finished speaking, Zido let out a faint sigh. Zido Immortal Domain isn't a place you should know about right now. It's still too early for you to learn the secrets of this place. Let's go to another place. Zido flicked his sleeve. A purplish golden wind blew past and carried the 2 of them across countless worlds in an instant. They appeared in a small village with beautiful scenery. The place was filled with cattail grass that withered and flourished with each passing year. Shouldn't teacher be preaching the Tao in the great overarching heaven right now? Ning Fan asked doubtfully. Let them wait. In my heart, you are more important than them. Sit down. I know you're comprehending life and death. With my cultivation base, I can directly help you comprehend life and death. However, the life and death that you'll comprehend might not be compatible with your Tao. I've reincarnated for 10,000 lifetimes and I only entered the devil barrier in one of my reincarnations. That's why I am who I am today. In that life, I had a teacher who taught me a principle. The Tao can be Tao, but it is not the Tao. The true Tao is indescribable. You sought the Tao amidst the life and death tribulation and fell behind. After hearing these words, Ning Fan felt as if he was suddenly enlightened. Mo's words made a lot of sense while Jin Chan's words were even more profound and unfathomable. However, Ning Fan still felt that something was missing. Now he understood. They had spoken of the Tao of life and death, but the true great Tao was indescribable. If he could say it, then it wouldn't be the true Tao. He could only be considered to be close to the Tao. In the end, he was still lacking by a bit. I know you have countless questions in your heart, but I can't give you an answer to your questions. You can only search for the answer yourself. Zido smiled at Ning Fan and pointed at the cattail grass beneath his feet. Do you want to learn how to weave the great Tao from me? Weaving the great Tao. Ning Fan's eyes widened. Weaving the great Tao was the creation of the rules of heaven and earth. Could such a thing be learned? Yes, there is nothing in this world that is impossible. It just depends on whether you are willing to do it or not. It was ridiculous for an ordinary youth to try to change the world. However, if it's me, I can truly rewrite everything in this world. Do you have any ideals in your heart? Ideals? I don't think so. Ning Fan smiled self-mockingly. He had already exhausted all of his strength to protect himself. How could he have any ideals? You will have them. When I was your age, I was just a demon devil who slaughtered without restraint. One day, you will have your own opinion about the cultivation world. Zido remained silent for a moment. Then, he flicked his sleeves and plucked some cattail grass from the ground. He sat cross-legged on the ground and began to weave a grass ring. Although he was just weaving a grass ring, it gave Ning Fan the feeling that he was weaving the heavenly Tao. No, the grass ring in Zido's hands was the heavenly Tao. After a long time, the grass ring was completed. Zido waved his hand and the grass ring soared into the sky, turning into a massive black and white ring shadow. This is life and death. As soon as he finished speaking, the shadow of the ring gradually disappeared. Zido stood up and gave Ning Fan a deep look. Then, he turned around and left. He did not give any advice, but the scene of him weaving the grass ring was better than thousands of words. As long as Ning Fan weaves the grass ring like Zido did, there would come a day when he would have a basic understanding of life and death. Looking at the gradually fading shadow of the ring in the sky, Ning Fan seemed to have understood something. However, he also felt that there was a barrier that prevented him from comprehending it. He suddenly woke up from his dream and thought of something. Looking at Zido's back, he suddenly asked. Teacher. Are you alive or dead now? Zido stopped walking and sighed. You still ask this question in the end. So what if I'm alive or dead? Regardless of whether I'm alive or dead, I will do what I have to do. He suddenly turned around and looked at Ning Fan calmly. However, there was an aura force that could make 1 billion worlds tremble in fear. As long as I'm alive, all living beings are alive. Zido's body swayed and he disappeared without a trace. The third life and death tribulation gradually began to collapse. Ning Fan's heart, which had been cold for a long time, was once again filled with hot blood. As long as I'm alive, all living beings are alive. What kind of heroic spirit was that? Only the overlord of 1 billion worlds could say that. Suddenly, Ning Fan felt a little sad. He felt that Zido's back was very bleak. After overcoming the third stage of the life and death tribulation, the number of Tao marks of life and death on Ning Fan's primordial spirit increased by another 500, making a total of 2,720 Tao marks. At this moment, he could barely take a step between life and death. However, he was still a little short of truly stepping on life and death. The purple sun seal on the left side of his face was slowly disappearing. Only then did Ning Fan notice that when Zido waved his hand to summon the shadow of the ring, it had also helped him remove the seal within his body. The seal gradually disappeared. The power of the purple sun spread out from Ning Fan's body and condensed into a purple pearl in front of him. It was shining with the radiance of the sun. This was the crystallization of the power of the purple sun. If he swallowed this violet sun crystal, he could make up for the third yang on the yin-yang tablet. But if he did that, then there would be 3 yang and 1 yin. Yin and yang would be completely out of balance. He could only wait until his second yin was complete before devouring the violet sun crystal. Ning Fan kept the purple sun crystal. At the moment when the life and death tribulation collapsed, his consciousness returned to the outside world. On the ice bed, Ning Fan opened his eyes and gently exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi. The triple tribulation of life and death was indeed a great opportunity. With that, he could leave the stone room. Just as he was thinking about this, his face suddenly turned pale. At this moment, his clothes were completely undone. The clothes of little Demonis and Hong Yi were also scattered all over the place. The bodies of the 3 of them were intertwined with each other. Their bodies were extremely ambiguous. Little Demonis was still in a deep sleep. Her slender arms were tightly wrapped around Ning Fan's neck and her head was nestled in his arms. As for Hong Yi, she placed her proud snowy peaks on Ning Fan's back. Her delicate body was pressed tightly against Ning Fan's back. The soft feeling almost made Ning Fan lose control of his mind. How could this be? Could it be that what happened in the second life and death tribulation wasn't fake? When I was going through the tribulation with the 2 ladies, Ning Fan's expression relaxed a little when he felt that their primordial yin was still present on their abdomen. It seems like I didn't destroy their chastity, however, since they had already slept together like this, their chastity no longer seemed to exist anymore. At this moment, little Demonis slowly opened her eyes. Hong Yi also opened her eyes in a daze. As soon as she saw them hugging each other naked, little Demonis trembled with anger while Hong Yi's blood-red eyes were frighteningly cold. Little Fan Fan. No matter how much I like you, you can't do this when I'm asleep. Ning Fan. Even though I'm your companion, I have no obligation to serve you. You've crossed the line. Ning Fan was unable to explain himself. He smiled bitterly. Do you still remember Ning Lao Kai, Hong Er, and Xiao Er? I think our current situation is related to what happened at that time. Little Demonis was petrified by Ning Fan's words while Hong Yi revealed a look of disbelief. Hong Er, Xiao Er, you also dreamt of it. Both of them asked at the same time. As soon as the question was asked, both of them understood. It wasn't a wet dream that they had alone. It was a wet dream that the 3 of them had together. Even Hong Yi blushed when she thought of the countless times of pleasure they had in their dreams, let alone little Demonis. The atmosphere was extremely awkward for a moment. Put on your clothes first. Ning Fan suggested and got up from little Demonis' arms. Accidentally, his left hand touched little Demonis' breasts while his right hand touched Hong Yi's smooth abdomen. In an instant, little Demonis' face turned as red as a persimmon. Black-bellied, cunning, disguise. She couldn't remember anything. There was also a strange feeling that flowed through her body like an electric current, reminding her of the scenes in her dreams. Hong Yi's delicate body trembled. She gritted her teeth but she couldn't say a word. What exactly happened in that dream? Explain it to me. Hong Yi gritted her teeth and said. Chapter 671. To explain was to cover up, to remain silent was to acquiesce, and to deny it was too shameless. The 3 of them quickly put on their clothes. Then, Ning Fan told them everything about the 2 ladies who had been asleep for 40 years. In order to free himself, he had reached the 6th demolishing level. Refining the 7 life and death crystals would trigger the ancient heavenly tribulation. During the second life and death tribulation, he did something inappropriate with the 2 girls. Ning Fan did not tell them the specific details of the life and death tribulation. The third tribulation was related to the Purple Dipper while the first tribulation was related to the existential plane. Thus, he naturally could not tell them about it casually. After listening to Ning Fan's explanation, the little demoness wore a thoughtful expression while Hong Yi had already calmed down. It was absurd in the dream, but in reality, it had not been broken. Yuan Hong, was this a comfort? The little demon girl thought about it for a long time. Her Yuan Hong could not be broken so easily, or else many people would die. At first, he was angry because of this matter. Seeing that Yuan Hong was not broken, he could not help but feel slightly relieved. Then, he began to think about Ning Fan's fortuitous encounter. The life and death tribulation was an ancient tribulation that countless cultivators yearned for. It was said that one could comprehend the great Tao during the tribulation. Ning Fan actually came across such a good thing. Isn't his luck a little too good? Also, the last time he fished a dragon, he actually fished up the yin and yang dragons. Was he really a black fate? The black eyes of the demoness flickered. Then, she looked at Ning Fan slyly and smiled evilly. My tofu has been eaten by you. You can't not take responsibility for it. Just a moment ago, he was still huffing and puffing with anger, and now he was trying to be funny. Ning Fan shook his head helplessly. He didn't really think that the little demoness wanted to marry him. Hong Yi, on the other hand, looked at Ning Fan quietly. She was not a person who cared about trifles. However, she had a prideful nature. Just now when she saw Ning Fan's reaction, she thought that she had been raped by him and lost all her face. Naturally, she was furious. Now that she knew the truth and that Ning Fan did not do it on purpose, she no longer cared about the fact that Ning Fan had seen her naked body. Didn't she also face Ning Fan naked the last time? What was there to mind? In the past, didn't he also see Ning Hong Hong's clone naked? Besides, according to what she knew, Ning Fan had helped her take revenge by killing the Rain Sovereign in the Cloud Lion. Previously, he even helped her resurrect. From this point of view, she owed Ning Fan a great debt of gratitude. Even if he really destroys her, she would only feel angry. She would not kill Ning Fan. Speaking of which, she originally wanted to take revenge herself. Even if Lu Haoyue and the others wanted to help her, she would still firmly refuse. She did not like anyone interfering in her affairs, except for Ning Fan. Ning Fan had helped her to take revenge and she actually felt that it was a good thing. Hong Yi, you said that you are my companion demon. You are indeed Hong Hong, aren't you? Ning Fan suddenly asked Hong Yi. Yes. When I died, my primordial spirit split into 10,000. Ning Hong Hong was one of them. I can be considered your demon companion, but I'm not. Since she had taken the initiative to ask, Hong Yi would not lie. Is that so? Speaking of which, the two of you have been asleep for 40 years. How much has your Tao of life and death improved? Tao of life and death, Hong Yi looked at her dantian and continued, I already have 1,000 life and death Tao patterns. As for his cultivation base, he actually broke through to the 8th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm in just a dream and avoided the heavenly tribulation. This ice bed is so mysterious. I already have 3,800 life and death Tao patterns. I'm close to attaining the life immortal realm. The little demoness cultivation base had already recovered to the peak 9 soul-breaking realm. Now that her Tao of life and death had reached the perfection realm, her strength was comparable to the old Yuan Emperor at his peak. In addition to the means she had at the 4 heavenly realms, her strength was much stronger than the old Yuan Emperor. Speaking of which, my husband, you really surprised me. Attaining the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm in 40 years. With your current strength, if the people of the mountain world provoke you, I'm afraid they will be looking for trouble. The little demoness smiled evilly. She really wanted to see the unlucky faces of the people of the mountain world. Ning Fan smiled faintly without saying a word. His gaze swept across the stone room and eventually fell on the ice bed. How about the three of us take this ice bed together? All right. Hong Yi said in an indifferent tone. She had tried using the ice bed. Each of them could only sleep on it once to comprehend life and death once. After waking up, they could no longer use the ice bed to comprehend the Tao of life and death. She had already comprehended life and death once. To her, this ice bed was not essential. As long as Ning Fan asked her, she would naturally help him. Hee. I don't have any opinion on taking this ice bed away. However, after that, who will be the owner of this ice bed? The little demoness said smilingly. You are the dignified young lord of the godly void pavilion. Do you still need to fight with me for an ice bed from the mortal world? Ning Fan was speechless. I didn't say that I want to fight with you. Kiss me and I will help you take the ice bed away. The little demoness stood on her tiptoes and moved her face closer to Ning Fan's. The kiss in my dream was too much. I don't feel like kissing you now. Let's start taking the ice bed away. Ning Fan teased her back. After that incident, he was no longer as distant towards the little demoness as he was in the past. If the little demoness teases him again, he would really kiss her. The little demoness' face turned red. She took a few steps back as if she had recalled the dream again. She no longer dared to tease Ning Fan with her body. He pretended to be calm and smiled at Hong Yi. Sister Hong Yi, it's enough for the two of us to take this ice bed away. Little Fanfan's cultivation base is the lowest. Let him go to the side to cool off. All right. Hong Yi's tone was still as indifferent as before. One of the two ladies was at the peak 9th break realm while the other was at the 8th break realm. They moved at the same time and uprooted the ice bed from the stone chamber. The ice bed immediately turned into a small ice bed that was the size of a palm. After handing the ice bed to Ning Fan, the two ladies tried to break free from the stone chamber with their respective cultivation bases. Ning Fan did not say much. He took a step forward and wrapped his arms around the two ladies' slender waists. Then, he closed his eyes. The only thought in his mind was to escape from this place. All of a sudden, everyone left the stone chamber and even the magical treasure world of the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. In the forbidden area, there was a huge bronze palace. There was a bronze platform on which an ancient painting was placed. Inside the bronze palace, Ning Fan appeared with the two ladies in his arms. He let go of them and walked towards the ancient painting. Is this the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting? Ning Fan walked closer to it and carefully studied the ancient map. The ancient painting depicted 1,000 snowy mountains and 10,000 li of glaciers. There was also a fisherman fishing alone in the cold river. The ancient painting contained an extremely strong Tao of life and death. It could help cultivators comprehend life and death and obtain the chance to become an immortal. This treasure was very good. With this painting, the godly void pavilion would most likely have many life immortals. Ning Fan was extremely tempted by this painting, but he did not have the intention to snatch it. He promised the little demoness to get the painting and he would not break his promise. Moreover, if he snatched the painting, the little demoness would not be able to answer to the godly void pavilion. Doesn't my husband love to kill people and snatch their treasures? I thought you would kill me for the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. I'm so scared. I didn't expect you to not be greedy after seeing this painting. The little demoness looked at Ning Fan with a smile. There was a hint of surprise in her eyes. Ning Fan shook his head and took a few steps back, letting the little demoness collect the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting alone. Hong Yi did not go forward to look at the painting at all, as if she was indifferent to it. She had already received some benefits from helping the little demoness. She would not do anything else. Huh. There seem to be 4 people in this painting. Are they He Shirshio and the others? The little demoness held the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting in her hand. With a shake, 4 human figures appeared and landed on the ground. There were 3 frozen corpses and Yunyomu, who was on the verge of death. He Shirshio, Gong Yangzi and Xianhua had all died in the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. Yunyomu, on the other hand, was in a daze. He Shirshio is dead. This is going to be a little troublesome. The Jade Dao sect will probably come to my godly void pavilion to make a ruckus and ask for more benefits. Forget it. I'll leave these matters to the old monsters in the pavilion to worry about. It has nothing to do with me. The little demoness kept the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting and smiled at Ning Fan. Are you going to save this Yunyomu or not? If you don't, he will die here. If he stays in the rain world, he will more or less be of some use to it. It's a waste for him to die here. Ning Fan flicked his finger and a low-grade 7th revolution pill flew into Yunyomu's mouth. Then, he flicked his sleeve and took away the storage pouches of He Shirshio, Xianhua and Gong Yangzi. His actions were extremely familiar. He had already used up all of his Dao crystals. He just wanted to get some Dao crystals from the storage pouches of He Shirshio, Xianhua and Gong Yangzi. There were a total of 50,000 Dao crystals in their storage pouches. He Shirshio's storage pouch also contained an immortal grade restriction breaking talisman. As for the other items, he did not need to care about them. After consuming the pill, Yunyomu gradually regained consciousness. While he was in a daze, he vaguely felt that he had been saved by someone. When he opened his eyes, he realized that the person who saved him was actually Ning Fan. His expression turned extremely complicated. When he saw the corpses of He Shirshio and the other 2, he could not help but sigh. He struggled to get up and cupped his fists at Ning Fan. Thank you for saving me, Divine Sovereign. You don't have to thank me. I saved you because you are of some use to the rain world. That's all. As long as you don't cause any trouble in the rain world, you will be able to live until the Dao poison takes effect. Ning Fan's words carried the aura force of a 6th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert. Yunyomu's expression changed when he felt Ning Fan's powerful aura force. He estimated that it had only been 40 years since he was trapped in the immemorial fisherman's cowhide painting. In just 40 years, Ning Fan had advanced from the 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm to the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The current Ning Fan was fully qualified to be a titled Rain Sovereign. He was the Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. The 2 words Evil Cloud could truly become his title. With him around, the rain world would probably welcome a prosperous day. When Yunyomu thought of this, the complicated expression in his eyes became even more intense. When he thought of the Dao poison in his body, he could not help but sigh continuously. Forget it. If I can live for 1,000 years, then I'll just live for another 1,000 years. There should be 1 or 2 years left before the opening of the ancient heavenly court. I'm close to breaking through to the life immortal realm and I need to return to the eastern heaven immediately to enter seclusion in the godly void pavilion and pass this painting to the old monsters in the pavilion. Little Fan, what are your plans? What about big sister Hong Yi? With your potential, if you want to ascend to the eastern heaven, I can give you an ascension quota. I don't like being controlled by others. It was a very simple sentence but it expressed Hong Yi's attitude. She would not use the ascension quota of the godly void pavilion to ascend. I naturally want to return to you country and make some preparations for the trip to the ancient heavenly court. Hong, follow me back to you country. Ning Fan looked at Hong Yi. All right. It was a very simple sentence without any hesitation. Actually, I also miss little Yang very much. I haven't forgotten what happened in the demon sinister forest. Unnecessary explanations did not fit Hong Yi's character. It seemed like she was trying to cover something up. Sigh. Even big sister Hong Yi isn't willing to ascend to the eastern heaven and be my companion. It's really lonely. Then, are we going to part ways once we leave the immortal burning valley? Little Demoness sighed. Before we part ways, how about helping me do one more thing? As soon as he finished speaking, he told Little Demoness and Hong Yi about the matter of collecting the immortal fire and formation. Collecting the immortal fire and formation required almost 2 rogue immortals to do it at the same time. The rogue devil and Little Demoness were enough. Hee hee. If I help you, what benefits will you give me? The corner of Little Demoness' mouth rose slightly. Are you going to help me or not? Ning Fan asked helplessly. Of course, I'll help you. You're my husband after all. Of course, I'll help you. Ning Fan, Hong Yi, Little Demoness, and Yunyomu left the immemorial 5 stages together. After returning to the inner valley of the immortal burning valley, Ning Fan ordered Yunyomu to return to the middle state to recuperate first. Then, he sent out 2 message-transmitting flying swords. One of them was sent to the middle state while the other one was sent to 7 Apricot City to inform everyone that he was safe. The message-transmitting flying swords that replied to him arrived very quickly. In the past 40 years, nothing major had happened in the Rain world. However, as the ancient heavenly court was about to open, many cultivators of the Rain world were rushing to the southeastern continent. After all, there was only one entrance to the ancient heavenly court in the Rain world and it was near Yu country. With Li Long guarding the southeastern continent, there was no need to worry about any trouble. Collecting the immortal fire took quite some time. Ning Fan summoned the rogue devil and asked it to work together with Little Demoness to collect the immortal fire in formation. Hong Yi helped him from the side. As for Ning Fan, he stepped on Niali and went to fight against the many vengeful spirits in the inner valley. The vengeful spirits were endless. They would definitely die in 7 days but they would be reborn 7 days later. To others, this place was a dangerous place. However, to Ning Fan, it was the best place for him to gain experience. The Little Demoness spent a whole year collecting the immortal fire in formation. Within this year, Ning Fan had killed countless void fragmentation realm vengeful spirits. His chi gradually became stronger and more condensed. At this moment, he could finally be considered as a true 6-break realm cultivator. The immortal fire and formation were all collected by the Little Demoness. The immortal fire was sealed inside the steel of sun and moon. With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, it would not take him long to be completely refined by the steel of sun and moon. The immortal formation was collected together with all 256 abodes and was sealed inside a compass. As soon as Ning Fan returned to Yu country, he could set up this immortal formation within the entire country. After everything was settled, Ning Fan kept his rogue devil and looked at the Little Demoness in silence. The Little Demoness, on the other hand, looked at Ning Fan with a smile and took out a compass that was engraved with a special talisman. As soon as she activated it, an immortal gate appeared. Inside the gate was an immortal path that led to the Eastern Heaven immortal world. With a gentle leap, she stepped onto the immortal path and gradually walked further away. Suddenly, she turned back and gave Ning Fan a sly smile. Don't forget that you still owe me a 3rd promise. As soon as she finished speaking, she left with a giggle and the immortal gate closed. Is she gone? Ning Fan sighed softly. He did not expect to feel a little disappointed after seeing the Little Demoness leave. Let's go back to Yu country. Ning Fan looked at Hong Yi. All right. Hong Yi answered in a casual manner. The two of them rose into the sky and turned into rays of light, heading back to the southeastern continent. 1 month later, the news that Thunder's sovereign Buzhou was still alive and had broken through to the 8th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm spread across the 9 worlds. The Rain world's strength skyrocketed and even the 3 middle realms were shocked. Even the 3 upper realms did not dare to underestimate the Rain world. 2 months later, an immortal grade grand formation appeared in the territory of Yu country. Only a few people knew about it. 3 months later, the shadow of an ancient heavenly gate appeared 900,000 zhang above the border of Yu country. That shadow was slowly solidifying. It was the immortal gate that led to the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. There was only one such immortal gate in the Rain world and a few other worlds. Countless cultivators of the Rain world gathered at the border of Yu country, waiting for the opportunity to enter the ancient heavenly court. Those who were excited about this matter included Harmonious Spirit Realm cultivators, Gold Core Realm cultivators, Nascent Soul Realm cultivators and Divine Transformation Realm cultivators. However, there were only a few Void Refinement Realm cultivators and none of them were at the Void Fragmentation Realm. The ancient heavenly court was divided into two parts, the Shattered Realm and the 33 Heavens. The Broken Realm was a place where countless ruins of the Heaven Court had been destroyed. There were very few dangers here, and there weren't many fortuitous opportunities. It was a place where low-grade cultivators liked to search for treasures. Nanyang Zi had found Mu Weiliang's green coffin in a cave in the Broken Territory, but he didn't know how valuable it was. Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators naturally would not bother to enter the ancient heavenly court if they only wanted to search for opportunities in the Broken Domain. If a Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator enters the ancient heavenly court, his target would certainly be the 33 heavens. 33 layered heavens. With each additional layer, the danger would increase. Cultivators below the level of a 3 demolisher would only be tempted to enter. The overall strength of the Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators in the Rain world was relatively weak. They did not possess the strength to enter this place. Naturally, they would not be interested in the ancient heavenly court. In the other worlds, there were countless Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters who were keen on going to the 33 heavens to seek their fortune. For example, Moksha Emperor. In the Rain world, Ning Fan was the only one who would enter the ancient heavenly court this time. Hong Yi had broken through to the 8th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm in her sleep. She needed a lot of time to stabilize her cultivation base. Thus, she was too lazy to go to the ancient heavenly court. Ning Fan, of course, would not forcefully invite Hong Yi to go with him just to deal with Moksha Sovereign. Even though Hong Yi would certainly agree to his invitation if he asks, Ming Ke, on the other hand, really wanted to go to the ancient heavenly court to have some fun. Ning Fan wondered if the mysterious true immortal who schemed against her would send someone to look for her during the opening of the ancient heavenly court. If I leave her in the Rain world, I won't feel at ease. It's better to bring her along with me to the ancient heavenly court. This time, only Ning Fan and Ming Ke would go to the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. The others would not go. All of them would stay in the Rain world. The immortal formation, Hong Yi, Li Long. With these safeguards, even if rogue immortals enter Yu country, they would not be able to get any benefits. They might even die in the Rain world. The sealing pot of the dragon soul was temporarily kept with Su Qiuling. What Ning Fan was thinking about was to help the ladies refine the dragon soul after returning from the ancient heavenly court. The night was dim and the wind and snow were silent. Ning Fan stood in the wind and snow, looking at the shadow of the immortal gate in the night sky far away. His heart was as calm as still water. With a chi sound, a crack suddenly appeared in the hollow space beside him. A ray of black light flew out from the crack. Ning Fan bent his palm and sucked it. It was a battle invitation written on black jade. This black jade battle invitation was sent from the Devil world with the help of an item teleportation formation. There was only one sentence in the battle invitation. In the ancient heavenly court, fight me to the death without the help of any external forces. Do you dare? Even though there was no signature, Ning Fan knew who sent this battle invitation. Moksha Sovereign. Even without the help of any external forces, I'm not afraid of you. I'm no longer the harmonious spirit realm I was 100 years ago. Ning Fan crushed the battle invitation with his palm and closed his eyes. Wei Xian will bring people to help me. Unfortunately, there's no need for that anymore. Why would the current him be afraid of Moksha sovereign? Some debts must be settled no matter how many years have passed. Moksha sovereign was secondary. Ning Fan's main purpose of entering the ancient heavenly court was to find the undying tree. He wanted to find the undying tree to reconstruct Mu Weilyan's soul. In order to achieve this goal, he would not give way no matter how many people fight for the undying tree. Rumble, the immortal gate in the distance suddenly let out a loud rumbling sound that echoed across the entire rain world. On this night, countless cultivators of the rain world rose to their feet and looked at the southeastern continent. At the border of Yu country, countless cultivators rose into the sky and swarmed towards the immortal gate the moment the gate was opened. Brother Biscuit, let's go quickly. Don't let them get ahead of us. Little Ming Ke dashed out with a swoosh and dragged Ning Fan towards the immortal gate. The two of them entered the immortal gate with just a few teleportations and vanished without a trace. Inside the Pill sect on Dan Xia planet in the eastern heaven immortal world. An elderly man in green robes with a scholarly appearance was standing beside the teleportation formation. He was reminding a middle-aged man who was a rogue immortal. The ancient heavenly court has opened. On the 29th day of your trip to the ancient heavenly court, collect all the ghosts in the 8th and 9th formation zones of the ghost nurturing grounds for me. Oh right, when you go to the rain world later on, take this compass with you. You should be able to find the pill devil that I am raising by following the compass. Humph. That pill devil does have some capabilities. It actually broke my imprint. I wonder where it has escaped to. Fortunately, I have taken a drop of devil blood and planted it in this compass. With this compass, I can easily find the location of that pill devil. Capture that pill devil and bring her back to the eastern heaven. Don't let her run around anymore. If she is harmed by others, the pill devil that I have painstakingly obtained will be crippled. Remember, there is only one compass. If it is lost or destroyed, I will never be able to find the whereabouts of that pill devil. The elderly man's eyes were sharp as he stared at the rogue immortal. The rogue immortal immediately cupped his fists respectfully and promised. Old ancestor, don't worry. Chang Shan will not let you down. I will definitely complete this mission successfully. Of course. If you can still mess up such a simple mission, I will use your primordial spirit to concoct a pill. Go. Yes. Chang Shan did not dare to disobey the elderly man in front of him. This was because this elderly man was the famous sect master of the Pill faction in the Eastern Heaven Immortal world. With the cultivation of the crossing reality realm, he was considered a powerful figure in the Eastern Heaven Immortal world. His 9th revolution Pill refinement realm allowed the sect master to have many friends. He was very popular in the star regions near Danxia planet. Chang Shan could not afford to offend such a person. He carefully put away the compass and stepped into the teleportation array. In the next instant, he appeared in the 29th heaven of the 33 heavens of the ancient heavenly court. This was the teleportation array that the sect master of the Pill faction had spent a lot of effort to set up. As long as the ancient heavenly court opened it, he could directly teleport to the 29th heaven and check the situation in the 8th and 9th heaven of the land of ghost nurturing. Chang Shan went straight to the land of ghost nurturing after entering the 29th heaven. The 8th heaven of the land of ghost nurturing had nurtured a total of 9 life immortal ghosts. The 9th heaven of the land of ghost nurturing had not nurtured a single perfected immortal ghost. After Chang Shan killed the 9 ghosts with a secret technique and collected the sense beads, he looked very disappointed. If he could bring back the perfected immortal sense beads, he would definitely be rewarded by the old ancestor. If he could be rewarded with an 8th revolution immortal pill, he would have a high chance of becoming an immortal in this life. Forget it, let's see where that pill devil is now. Chang Shan carefully took out the compass and made a hand seal. In an instant, his expression became strange. Interesting, that pill devil actually entered the ancient heavenly court. This is good too, it saves me the trouble of going to the rain world. Chang Shan sneered. It would take a few months to travel from the 29th heaven to the first heaven. Let's go straight to the first heaven and capture the little pill devil. No more updates, don't wait. Chapter 672. Inside the immortal gate, there was an endless broken continent that floated in the sea of clouds. On the continent, there were broken walls, broken magical treasures that had exhausted all their spiritual chi and dried bones that would turn into ashes with just a touch. This was the ruins of the ancient heavenly court, the lower broken domain. He flew upwards from the broken domain. After passing through hundreds of layers of the broken domain, he arrived at the end of the broken domain. There was a sealed door that led to the first heaven realm of the 33 heavenly worlds. In the lower layer of the broken domain, many low-grade cultivators had already begun to search for the ruins. Occasionally, they would find a cave dwelling that still had spiritual chi. Immediately, many cultivators would fight for it. The moment Ning Fan entered the broken domain from the passage of the rain world, some cultivators who had good eyesight immediately dispersed in shock. They could see that Ning Fan was an old monster who had concealed his strength. Although they didn't know Ning Fan's exact cultivation base, they definitely wouldn't dare to provoke him. A few low-grade cultivators of the rain world recognized Ning Fan as the divine sovereign of the rain world and cupped their fists to greet him. Ning Fan just nodded and dispersed these low-grade cultivators. Ming Ke wore an eager expression. She sniffed the lower layer of the broken domain and her face was filled with disappointment. What a broken heaven court. There's nothing good here. Her nose was very sensitive. With just a sniff, she could tell if there were hidden treasures in this place. This is the lower layer of the broken domain. There are only harmonious spirit gold core realm cultivators here looking for opportunities. Naturally, there's nothing that you like. Then let's go to the upper layer. I'll be in charge of finding treasures and you'll be in charge of killing the monsters. We'll split the treasures we find in half, alright? Ming Ke said with an eager expression. Alright. But wait for a while. I have an appointment with someone in the ancient heavenly court. Who? You don't know. Ning Fan was waiting for Si Wuxia and Wei Xian. Si Wuxia was here to look for the helper of the undying tree while Wei Xian was here to deal with Moksha Sovereign. After waiting for a long time, the two of them still hadn't arrived. However, there were two sound-transmitting flying swords that flew to Ning Fan's front. Spirit-severing realm and void refinement realm cultivators could use sound-transmitting flying swords, but these flying swords could only transmit sound in the inner realm and not the outer realm. Sound-transmitting flying swords were the unique ability of life immortal realm cultivators. These two sound-transmitting flying swords were from Si Wuxia and Wei Xian. Si Wuxia said, I will wait for you in the 33 heavens. I have found the immortal tree, but it has been sealed by someone. It will take 3 years to break. Within 3 years, you must rush to the 33 heavens, no matter the cost. Wei Xian said, this old man brought 2 itinerant immortal friends to help. There were some delays on the way, so they'll be a bit late. After hearing the 2 telepathic messages, Ning Fan remained silent for a while. Then, he held Bright Sparrow's slender waist and flew towards the upper layer of the broken domain. Biscuit Brother is not waiting for me. Are you going to hunt for treasures with me? Bright Sparrow's face was filled with excitement. Yeah, let's go to the upper level of the broken realm. In the upper level of the broken domain, perhaps Moksha Emperor had already arranged his troops and was waiting for his arrival. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. The enmity of 100 years shall be settled today. In the upper layer of the broken territory, a broken continent floated above the sea of clouds. On this continent, there was a dilapidated jade platform. On the jade platform, there was a huge sealed door of light. That door of light led directly to the first level of the heaven realm. However, as the seal had yet to be broken, no one could pass through it. The seal could only be broken by itself. Currently, there were still 3 days before the day the seal would be broken. At this moment, there were many void fragmentation realm old monsters gathered outside the door of light. Some of them were meditating with their eyes closed, some were chatting in groups of 2 or 3, and some of them had cold and indifferent expressions. The Rain World only had 2 void fragmentation realm experts, Ning Fan and Bright Sparrow. There were quite a lot of void fragmentation realm experts from the other 8 worlds. The number of people who came could also slightly tell the overall strength of this world. 3 people from the Tree World came. All of them were from the Lu Palace, including Lu Huang, Lu Haoyue. No one from the Bamboo Palace came. Because of the chaos in the Vine Palace, the Bamboo Palace's strength had been greatly damaged. Even until now, the Bamboo Sovereign was still recuperating from his injuries. 3 old monsters from the Sword World came. None of them were at the sovereign level. They were the elders of the 3 palaces of the Sword World. At this moment, they were chatting and laughing. 11 void fragmentation realm old monsters from the Mountain World came. Among them, 7 old ancestor of the Western Mountain Palace was included. 15 void fragmentation realm old monsters from the Earth Immortal World came. 2 of them were at the 7th level of the Broken Realm. 12 void fragmentation realm old monsters from the Fire World came. 1 of them was at the 7th level of the Broken Realm. 44 void fragmentation realm experts from the Demon World came. The old Yuan Sovereign had yet to arrive, but the old Fox Sovereign and the old Crimson Sovereign had all arrived. Among the 10 great demon sovereigns, the Fox Sovereign, the Ape Sovereign, the Snake Sovereign and the Green Sovereign had come. The remaining demon sovereigns had yet to arrive. 49 void fragmentation realm experts from the Heaven Immortal World came. 1 of them was a rogue immortal. As for the 3 world sect, they had sent out all their void fragmentation realm experts. There were a total of 11 of them, including the new sect master of the 3 worlds, Gu Dao. Gu Dao's eyes were extremely cold. He was waiting for Ning Fan's arrival. He had already received the news that Ning Fan would come to the ancient heavenly court this time and he would only bring a rogue immortal with him. This was the best opportunity to ambush Ning Fan. 55 void fragmentation realm experts from the Devil World came. All 4 of the rogue devil old ancestors of the Devil World came. 4 of the Devil Sovereigns also came. At this moment, Moksha Sovereign's eyes were cold. He was also waiting for Ning Fan's arrival. He had issued a dual invitation, inviting Ning Fan to have a fair battle without relying on external forces. However, there was no such thing as fairness in the cultivation world. No one knew that Moksha Sovereign had invited 2 rogue devils from the ancient devil's abyss in the upper world to help him. With 2 rogue devil experts, killing Ning Fan was almost guaranteed. At first, he wanted to ask the White Devil sect for help. However, what made him angry was that the sect did not even bother to help him. Moreover, there was even a junior of the White Devil sect who mocked and ridiculed him with extremely disdainful words. It made Moksha Sovereign feel extremely humiliated. In the past, the White Devil sect was just using him to lure him to deal with the old devil. After that, they kicked him aside and ignored him. White Devil sect. Humph. It's as detestable as the Black Devil sect. If I break through to the true immortal realm one day and become a heaven devil, I will wash the White Devil sect with blood to wash away the humiliation today. The young Moksha Sovereign and the old Moksha Sovereign stood side by side. Their eyes were filled with undisguised killing intent. Both of them fixed their eyes in the direction of the broken domain in the lower layer as if they were waiting for someone and wanted to kill someone. This had aroused the interest of many old monsters. Some well-informed old monsters knew that Moksha Sovereign had 3 bodies. However, they only saw 2 of them today. Rumor had it that Moksha Sovereign's 3rd body was destroyed by someone. It seemed like it was true. Moksha Sovereign's eyes were filled with killing intent. Who did he want to kill? Could it be the person who destroyed his 3rd body? What a pity. What a pity. According to the rumors, if Moksha Sovereign combines his 3 bodies, he could reach the 8th break realm in a short period of time. His strength could be ranked among the top 10 in the devil world. Now that he had lost his 3rd body, his cultivation base could at most reach the peak of the 6th break realm in a short period of time. Many 7th and 8th break realm old monsters stared at Moksha Sovereign without hesitation. Their eyes were filled with a gloating expression. They were not afraid of Moksha Sovereign. Being stared at by the crowd, Moksha Sovereign became even more furious. His hatred towards Ning Fan also became stronger. Ning Fan. Ning Fan. Ning Fan. I didn't expect that a harmonious spirit realm kid from 100 years ago could actually destroy my current body. Letting an enemy in one day will cause trouble for several generations. This time, I must eliminate this kid. Otherwise, there will be endless troubles in the future. Suddenly, the young Moksha Sovereign's eyes turned ferocious. He felt an incomparably familiar chi rushing towards him from the lower layer of the broken domain. It was Ning Fan. Moreover, there was only one 1st break realm cultivator who came with Ning Fan. Humph. You're finally here. Moksha Sovereign sneered. Many old monsters shifted their gaze towards the lower layer of the broken domain at the same time. Most of them were void fragmentation realm experts from the 3 middle realms and the 3 lower realms. They still attached great importance to the new Rain Sovereign. From the hidden rain intent of the newcomer, they vaguely guessed that this person was the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign who had risen to fame recently. As for the old ancestors of the rogue immortals, rogue demons and rogue devils, they would not pay any attention to Ning Fan. Very few cultivators who were at the 7th and 8th break realm would pay much attention to Ning Fan, even if the Rain world had one more expert at the 8th and 7th break realm. Ning Fan himself was just at the 2nd break realm. Even if he had the strength to kill a 5th break realm expert, he was not worth the attention of experts who were above the 7th break realm. Of course, Sect Master Gu Dao of the 3 Worlds Sect and Old Ancestor Shi Shan were exceptions. When they saw Ning Fan's arrival, their eyes turned cold. As for Lu Haoyue, his eyes lit up when he sensed Ning Fan's chi. Brother Ning is finally here. At the next moment, a ray of black traveling light broke through the sea of clouds and landed on the jade platform outside the light door. Then, it turned into 2 figures. They were a young man in white robes and a young lady who wore a crown. They were Ning Fan and Ming Kei. No one noticed that when the 2 of them arrived, there was an old man wearing a gray cloak in an inconspicuous corner. His eyes flashed. Both of his eyes were unfathomably deep like a bottomless abyss. Is he the Rain Sovereign, Ning Fan? Some of the old monsters examined Ning Fan carefully, but they could not see through his cultivation base. They only knew that he was wearing a magic treasure that could conceal his cultivation base. Some of the old monsters who were at the 7th and 8th break realm also could not see through Ning Fan's cultivation base. The eyes of the 4 rogue devils, 2 rogue demons and 1 rogue immortal lit up and looked at Ning Fan. They could not see through Ning Fan's cultivation base as well. However, they knew that Ning Fan did not rely on external objects to conceal his chi. It was the Tao mark of life and death in his body. All of a sudden, the 7 rogue immortal old monsters began to pay attention to Ning Fan. After all, Ning Fan's comprehension of the Tao of life and death was above all of them. Perhaps only the old Yuan sovereign who was rumored to be about to become an immortal could surpass Ning Fan's current comprehension of the Tao of life and death. This young man is not simple, but why do I feel a strange sense of familiarity from him? The old Crimson Sovereign muttered to himself. Oh. I also have the same feeling as if I have seen this young man somewhere before. The old Fox Sovereign said doubtfully. Ning Fan's gaze swept across the hundreds of old monsters at the scene. Finally, his eyes fell on Moksha Sovereign. Even though the appearance of the young Moksha Sovereign and the old Moksha Sovereign were different from the Moksha Sovereign in Ning Fan's memory, their chi was exactly the same. Ning Fan would certainly not be mistaken. Ning Fan, have you come to accept my challenge? Do you dare to fight me to the death? The two bodies of Moksha Sovereign sneered at the same time. Why wouldn't I dare? Han Yetian, do you know how long I have waited for this day? Ning Fan closed his eyes. Memories flashed through his mind. When he opened his eyes again, the coldness in his eyes was like ice that would never melt for eternity. When the old monsters present saw Ning Fan going against Moksha Sovereign as soon as he arrived and recalled the monstrous killing intent in Moksha Sovereign's eyes, all of them could tell what was going on. Before the seal of the 33 heavens is lifted, the two of them would probably have to fight to the death. Alright, let's see who is stronger, the infamous Moksha Sovereign of the Devil World or the infamous Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. This battle can be a pastime for everyone while they wait for the seal to be lifted. Brother Ning, do you need help? Lu Haoyue suddenly stepped forward and asked Ning Fan with a smile. If Ning Fan needed help, he would fight to the death even if he was no match for Moksha Sovereign. No need. Brother Lu, please take care of Ming Ke for me. Don't let the fluctuations of our battle hurt her. Ning Fan asked Ming Ke to stay with the cultivators from the tree world temporarily to avoid being left alone. The two bodies of Moksha Sovereign sneered. They rose into the sky and drew a line with their devil fingers. Dark clouds immediately covered the sea of clouds and devil chi filled the sky. This was the battlefield between him and Ning Fan. The young Moksha Sovereign and the old Moksha Sovereign took a step forward and combined into one, turning into the young Moksha Sovereign. After the two of them combined, Moksha Sovereign's cultivation base leaped to the peak of the sixth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Moksha Sovereign raised his palm and used the soul extraction technique to draw the soul of the earth. All of a sudden, his cultivation base rose to the seventh heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. I'm afraid Moksha Sovereign has a higher chance of winning. Seeing Moksha Sovereign using a secret technique to raise his cultivation base to the seventh heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, some old monsters could not help but speculate. Even though there was only a slight difference between the peak sixth realm and the seventh realm, this slight difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. After breaking through to the seventh realm, Moksha Sovereign's combat power was something that even Gu Dao of the Three Worlds sect and the old ancestor of the Mountain World did not dare to underestimate. On the other hand, Ning Fan was only at the second realm. Even if he had secret techniques and abilities that allowed him to kill a fifth realm expert, it would be difficult for him to defeat a seventh realm expert. Brother Biscuit, do your best. Beat this Han Yanxue to the ground. Ming Ke waved her fists and cheered for him. She could not even say Moksha Sovereign's name correctly. Her cheers made many old monsters unable to hold back their laughter. However, it also ignited the flames of anger in Moksha Sovereign's heart. If he wants to eliminate Ning Fan, he must kill Ming Ke. The reason why he asked the experts of the ancient Devil's Abyss to help him was because he was worried that Ning Fan might have reinforcements. Now that Ning Fan was going to fight alone without asking for help, Moksha Sovereign naturally would not be afraid of him. Ning Fan, go to the Sea of Clouds and accept your death. Moksha Sovereign shouted coldly. His voice carried the aura force of the seventh realm. Like thunder, it exploded in the sea of consciousness of the cultivators below the third realm, causing their faces to turn pale. Their eyes were filled with shock. Ning Fan did not say much. Why should he? His heart was so quiet and his eyes were so cold. He had waited for 100 years and cultivated bitterly for 100 years just for this day. He would kill Moksha Sovereign, the traitor of his master, to avenge the old devil. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Ning Fan's steps were slow as he walked towards the peak of the Sea of Clouds. Every step he took was like a leisurely stroll. However, every step he took could transmit the sound of his heartbeat to everyone on the scene. The heartbeat of the old monsters on the scene gradually synchronized with Ning Fan's heartbeat. Their breathing began to become uncontrollable. The low-level void fragmentation realm expert's eyes were filled with shock. Ning Fan's ability was even more powerful than Moksha Sovereign's thunderclap. Those 7th realm, 8th realm and rogue immortals' eyes were filled with shock as if they had seen an unbelievable scene. Together in life and death. Only they could see that every step Ning Fan took was on the path of life and death. Although his steps were not perfect, he was able to step on the path of life and death. Ning Fan was already not far away from breaking through life and death. This kid. The old Red Emperor and the old Fox Emperor were so shocked that they could not speak a word. Among the cultivators in the mortal world that they had seen in their lives, the old Yuan Emperor was the only one who could step on life and death. Impossible. Moksha Sovereign's eyes were extremely gloomy. He had not even achieved the Tao unification of his primordial spirit, but Ning Fan was already stepping on life and death. Could it be that his aptitude was so much worse than Ning Fan's? Comprehending life and death. This was not something that the old devil could help Ning Fan with. Only Ning Fan himself could achieve this step. Even if you have achieved this step, you are only at the 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. You are still inferior to me. Moksha Sovereign harumphed coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, his face was filled with disbelief. Who told you that I am only at the 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm? Ning Fan took a step on the sea of clouds and suddenly released the aura force of the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Next, black and white changed. He was clad in black robes and his cultivation base had reached the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. He raised his palm and sucked the great earth soul and void soul, devouring their souls as if they were his stomach. His cultivation base had already reached the peak of the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. With a single step, he disappeared without a trace. With the next step, he instantly appeared in front of Moksha Sovereign. With a punch, Moksha Sovereign was sent flying while coughing out blood. Moksha Sovereign's face was filled with disbelief. Countless old monsters at the scene were shocked. That punch was not fancy at all. The reason why Moksha Sovereign was sent flying so easily was because of the suppression of his cultivation base. Ning Fan's current cultivation base was higher than Moksha Sovereign. In the past, Ning Fan was completely suppressed by Moksha Sovereign when he was only at the harmonious spirit realm. After that, Ning Fan killed one of Moksha Sovereign's 3 bodies with the strength of a rogue devil. Today was Ning Fan's first time completely suppressing Moksha Sovereign with his own strength. 100 years later, he had already stepped on Moksha Sovereign. Chapter 673. Moksha Sovereign clenched his fists tightly, his expression extremely ugly. The feeling of being stepped on by an ant that could be squashed to death in the past was more painful than death. Fast, too fast, Ning Fan who had unleashed his full combat power was as fast as lightning and his body was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, his punch landed. Even he did not have the time to defend himself. All of his energy was concentrated in that one punch, causing Moksha Sovereign's internal organs to be severely injured. But who was Moksha Emperor? He had cultivated the Nirvana scripture and was a strong warrior at the 6th sky of Nirvana realm. His recovery speed was extremely fast. In just a few breaths, 70 to 80% of the internal organs that were injured by Ning Fan had recovered. Nirvana scripture. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed. This technique could be considered as one of the more powerful immemorial devil arts. Moksha Sovereign had his eyes on this technique, which was why he betrayed the old devil. However, this cultivation technique was not the strongest, and not all injuries could be healed on their own. For example, injuries caused by the Tao of life and death. The devil chi around Moksha Sovereign soared into the sky. Suddenly, he turned into a 300,000 feet tall white skeleton giant. The white skeleton giant's body was surrounded by Nirvana chi that was as heavy as a mountain. It was a great divine ability that used flesh and blood to transform into Nirvana. Since his magic power and cultivation base were weaker than Ning Fan's, he would suppress Ning Fan with his physical body. Virtual technique, Great Desolation Fist. As soon as the giant's fist light moved, the entire broken realm began to shake. Countless broken continents nearby were shattered. This dilapidated land was filled with a desolate aura. This aura was the source of the art's power. Without saying a word, the giant leaned forward and threw a punch at Ning Fan's head. With the current level of Ning Fan's physical body, it was certainly impossible for him to take this punch head-on. However, why would he need to? All of a sudden, a gigantic vortex that stretched for 10,000 li appeared beneath Ning Fan's feet. The vortex produced a boundless suction force that was strong enough to suck Moksha Emperor's fist light into it. It was even strong enough to suck Moksha Emperor into it, turning him into a pool of pus and blood. The energy condensed on the giant's fist was suddenly emptied by the sucking, becoming weak and powerless. It was difficult for this punch to land. The giant stepped on the golden vortex, and his feet began to sink into the vortex bit by bit. His expression changed drastically. Without saying a word, he immediately retreated from the giant devil idol. His heart was beating so fast that it was difficult to calm down. What kind of divine power is this? How can it give me such a dangerous feeling? With my cultivation, if I'm trapped in this technique, I'll definitely die. Moksha Sovereign was extremely shocked. Spatial Vortex. It's the Golden Vortex Realm Spatial Vortex. On the side of the Heaven Immortal World, many old monsters recognized Ning Fan's ability. All of them were shocked and looked at the Three Worlds sect. The expression of the sect master of the Three Realms Gu Dao was extremely ugly. Since the death of the previous sect master, no one in the Three Realms sect was able to cultivate the vortex technique to the Golden Whirlpool stage. He couldn't do it, and no one else could. However, Ning Fan, who was the one who killed and seized the technique, did it. I can't be wrong. This technique was snatched from the previous sect master. He was merely a person who had stolen the technique, but his mastery of the vortex technique was above all of the Three Realms sect's experts. What kind of humiliation was this? With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, it was still possible for him to kill a cultivator at the 6th level of the Broken Realm by relying on the spatial vortex technique. However, it would be extremely difficult for him to kill a cultivator at the 7th level of the Broken Realm. If the 7 shattering fragments were prepared in advance, it would not be effective. Just now, when Moksha Emperor attacked, he forgot to defend himself. That was the best time to kill him. If he wanted to improve the power of the whirlpool technique, he would have to devour the small Kiliacosm treasures and enhance the power of his heavenly abode. Moksha Sovereign retreated over 10,000 miles away. Suddenly, silver light shone brightly beneath his feet. He took a step forward and shattered the whirlpool created by the vortex technique. Without saying a word, he raised his hand and pointed a finger. The light from his finger turned into a 10,000 zhang large finger of devil flames, attacking Ning Fan from the sky. This technique was indeed powerful, but he was already prepared for it. He knew that he wouldn't be ambushed by this technique again. Break! Ning Fan casually pointed a finger at Moksha Sovereign. A ray of light shot out from his finger, shattered Moksha Sovereign's giant devil flame finger. Then, his 10 fingers formed a seal. Countless white lines coiled around his left index finger, and countless black lines coiled around his right index finger. Both of his fingers pointed out at the same time. Millions upon millions of black Dao threads with sharp glints pierced towards Moksha Sovereign. Above Moksha Sovereign's head, there was a huge fishing net that was weaved by white Dao threads. It was over 10,000 feet in size and it was falling towards Moksha Sovereign. They were the primordial fishing line and the good fortune fishing net, the two life and death arts. The power of this technique depended on one's life and death cultivation. With Ning Fan's comprehension of the Tao of life and death, the two techniques which were originally ordinary were now filled with endless killing intent. Life and death art. Moksha Sovereign's expression changed greatly. He raised his hand and took out a black devil scissors magic treasure. The magic treasure grew in the wind and turned into a giant pair of scissors. It cut the incoming black dowel threads into pieces and cut the white fishing net into 2 pieces. This pair of scissors was called the Black Devil Scissors. It was a protective magic treasure that the old devil had once given to him. It could cut Dao power into pieces. It could even protect himself against life immortal realm experts. After harming the old devil, he still had the face to use the magic treasure that the old devil gave him to save his life. He was really shameless. Ning Fan's eyes were burning with anger. He could see the emblem of the Black Devil sect on the Black Devil scissors. He could even feel that the old devil had once sacrificed his blood to refine this treasure. The Dao threads of life and death that filled the sky fell like snowflakes, giving off a desolate beauty. After breaking 2 of Ning Fan's techniques, Moksha Sovereign's expression became slightly better. He looked at the Black Devil scissors in his hand and sneered. Then, he suddenly threw it towards Ning Fan. If Han Yuanji knows that the magic treasure that he personally refined has killed his last disciple, I wonder how he would feel. The giant scissors opened and closed, trying to cut Ning Fan's waist into 2 halves. The scissors were extremely sharp. Even the physical body of an 8th heavenly layer Nirvana realm expert would not be able to defend against its attack. Keep. Ning Fan suddenly raised his finger. A golden vortex suddenly appeared in front of the Black Devil scissors. He wanted to forcefully take away this treasure. With his current cultivation base, forcefully taking away the Black Devil scissors would be very difficult for him. He would definitely suffer from the backlash of the spatial vortex technique. However, he could not bear to see Moksha Sovereign flaunting the old devil's treasure. His face suddenly turned pale as if the backlash was not small. A mouthful of sweet blood rushed to his throat, but he forcefully swallowed it. Then, he fiercely pointed his finger and a second giant vortex appeared outside the golden vortex. It forcefully sucked the Black Devil scissors into his natal heavenly dwelling. How dare you take away my natal treasure? You're courting death. You're the one who's courting death. Life and death. Even if you cut it into pieces, it's still life and death. Don't you know that? Slash. As Ning Fan made a hand seal, countless Dao lines of life and death that resembled snowflakes immediately pierced through Moksha Sovereign's body from all directions with sharp glints, leaving countless needle-sized wounds on his body. The wounds were not big, but the injuries that they caused to Moksha Sovereign were too severe. Moreover, these injuries were caused by the Dao power of life and death. It was not something that Moksha Sovereign could heal on his own. Puff, Moksha Sovereign coughed out a mouthful of black blood. He took out a Black Devil talisman and stuck it on his chest. Relying on this devil talisman, the devil chi in his body shook and shattered all the Dao lines of life and death. It was an immortal talisman realm devil talisman. It was crafted by a talisman crafting grandmaster in the ancient devil's abyss. His hair was disheveled, his body was covered with wounds and black blood. His devil armor was tattered. Even though Moksha Sovereign managed to keep his life, he was in a terrible state and his injuries were too severe. I really hate that I didn't kill you in the past. His eyes flickered with monstrous hatred. I also hate myself for not having the ability to kill you in the past. Today, however, I can make up for this regret. Ning Fan's eyes were also cold. I didn't join the White Demon sect, but I won the favor of a grand ancestor from the ancient demon's lock. I have a secret treasure from the grand ancestor, so I won't lose to you. Demon Summoning Talisman, summoned the spirit of the demon dragon. Moksha Sovereign seemed to have gone mad. He took out 2 immortal-grade devil talismans and tossed them towards the sky. The devil talismans ignited with raging black flames and turned into ashes one by one. The moment the 2 talismans burned out, 2 black demonic dragons appeared at the peak of the sea of clouds. These 2 devil dragons were at the 8th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. After summoning these two devil dragons, Moksha Emperor was 100% sure that he could kill Ning Fan. It's the summoning talisman unique to the ancient demon's lock. The 4 rogue demon ancestral patriarchs were shocked. 8 shattering devil dragons, and there are 2 of them. That evil cloud rain sovereign is in danger. Some of the low-level void fragmentation realm experts revealed a shocked expression. Ning Fan quietly looked at the 2 devil dragons. His eyes were cold. When he stared at the 2 dragons, they actually felt a sense of fear that they had never felt before. It was as if the 2 dragons would die on the spot with just a single thought from Ning Fan. Kill him. Moksha Sovereign changed his hand seal and urged the devil dragons to attack. The eyes of the 2 devil dragons turned blank. Each of them let out a devil roar and opened their gigantic mouths. A vortex of devil chi was formed in each of their mouths. They were accumulating power to let out a sure-kill devil dragon roar, trying to kill Ning Fan with a single strike. Ning Fan sneered and took out a purple-golden fishing rod with a flip of his hand. At the moment the purple-golden fishing rod appeared, all the void fragmentation realm experts of the demon world including the 2 rogue demon ancestral patriarchs were shocked. Bai Mu. He is Bai Mu. Bai Mu is the evil cloud rain sovereign. Chi Ning Fan raised his hand. The fishing rod turned into a purple-golden snake spear and pierced towards the 2 black dragons. The 2 rays of purple light easily penetrated the 2 dragons' dragon scales and pierced their devil cores at an unimaginable speed. The devil roar attack that was brewing in their mouths gradually disappeared. The life force of the 2 dragons also gradually disappeared. Their eyes were filled with deep fear when they looked at Ning Fan. With a loud bang, the bodies of the 2 dragons fell into the sea of clouds. Before they could reach the bottom of the sea of clouds, Ning Fan shook his cauldron ring and sucked them into the ring, turning them into Nia Li's food. He instantly killed 2 8-fragment devil dragons. There's no mistake. The magic treasure in his hand is a dragon-suppressing treasure. No matter if it's a devil dragon or a demon dragon, all the dragon ancestors below the life immortal realm will die. A dragon-suppressing treasure. Isn't this the same magic treasure that old ancestor Bai Mu, whose name shook the entire demon world? I know now. The evil cloud rain sovereign is Bai Mu. He's the one who killed hundreds of yellow dragon realm experts and 3 yellow dragon loose demons all by himself. What? At this moment, no one on the scene could remain calm when facing Ning Fan. Moksha Sovereign's mind went blank. He could not imagine that Ning Fan would have a dragon-suppressing treasure and kill 2 great devil dragons in a row. Moreover, he could not imagine that Ning Fan was Bai Mu who had shaken the entire demon world. One should know that when Moksha Sovereign learned about Bai Mu's deeds in the demon world in the past, he was also greatly shocked. He then instructed his subordinates not to offend this person if Bai Mu enters the devil world one day. Unexpectedly, Bai Mu, whom he did not dare to offend, was actually Ning Fan. What other techniques do you have? Use them all. Ning Fan's eyes were blood-red. His baleful chi was terrifying. The strength of his baleful chi shocked even a rogue immortal old ancestor, causing his mind to be in a mess. When this baleful chi pressed on Moksha Sovereign's body, it actually made him lose his mind for a moment. His Tao heart was easily invaded by Ning Fan's baleful chi and destroyed one after another. It was as if he could see Ning Fan's massacre in the past 100 years. Even Moksha Sovereign could not help but shudder in fear when he saw Ning Fan's massacre. He was also a devil lord who killed without restraint. However, compared to Ning Fan, the difference between him and Ning Fan was like the clouds in the mud. Moksha Sovereign's back was completely drenched in cold sweat. He was unwilling to admit it, but he had no choice but to admit that he was no match for Ning Fan even after exhausting all of his techniques. He was too impatient. The rogue devils of the ancient devil's abyss came too late. If they were any later, he would certainly die in Ning Fan's hands. I have no choice but to go all out. With a flick of his sleeve, he took out a pill which emitted cold chi and swallowed it. This pill was given to him by the White Devil sect in the past. The revolving will technique, Nirvana scripture, damaging ice pill. All of a sudden, Moksha Sovereign seemed to have turned into a man of ice. The cold chi that was spreading out from his body was frightening. It's the secret 8th revolution pill of the White Devil sect in the upper world. Damaging ice pill. Damaging his own reputation in exchange for the coldness of ice. Moksha Sovereign is going all out this time. The rogue immortal from the heaven immortal world said with a frown. Ning Fan kept his Tai Gong fishing rod. Black devil flames danced in his eyes. Within the devil flames, there were shadows of lotuses. His Tao of life and death had already reached a profound level. With just a glance, he could tell that Moksha Sovereign was currently sacrificing his lifespan in exchange for the power of ice in an attempt to display the killing ice technique. Moksha Sovereign reached out both of his hands and drew an ice circle in front of him. What he displayed was his strongest ability, the revolving will technique. When this technique is cultivated to its peak, it could reflect all attacks under the immortal technique and even kill rogue immortals with ice. Unfortunately, Moksha Sovereign had only cultivated up to the 14th level of the revolving will technique out of the 18 levels. Even if he consumed the damaging ice pill, he could only display the 17th level of the revolving will technique at most, which was enough to instantly kill an 8-shattering realm cultivator. The biggest mistake I've made in my life is that I made a wrong decision which led me to a dangerous situation. Ning Fan, prepare to die. Revolving will technique, 17 levels of the ice prison. Chi Chi. Chi Chi. The entire sky was completely frozen in an instant. The sound of ice condensing could be heard from beneath Ning Fan's feet. All of a sudden, his vision turned black and he was trapped in layers of ice. It was a gigantic ice tower with 17 levels. It had sealed Ning Fan within it. A 7-shattering realm cultivator would directly freeze to death in the tower. An 8-shattering realm cultivator would also definitely freeze to death after the ice tower rotates 17 times. Even if a rogue immortal cultivator of the 9-shattering realm could destroy this tower, he would also be severely injured by the cold chi. Moksha Sovereign laughed heartily. He knew that if he was in Ning Fan's shoes and was trapped in the ice tower, he would certainly be killed instantly. He did not believe that Ning Fan could break the tower. Even if Ning Fan cultivated devil flames, it was unlikely that his devil flames would be enough to break the tower's cold chi. First revolution. Second revolution. Third revolution. Moksha Sovereign frantically formed a series of hand seals. As his hand seals changed, the gigantic ice tower in the Palace of the Sea of Clouds began to rotate slowly. Each time it rotated, its cold chi would increase by a few times. All the cultivators at the scene were shocked. Even the 7 rogue immortal old ancestors wore fearful expressions. They did not expect that Moksha Sovereign, who was in a desperate situation, could actually display such a terrifying ability. Lu Haoyue wore an extremely worried expression. He had regarded Ning Fan as his confidant. He could not bear to see Ning Fan in danger without doing anything. However, he also knew that he could not do anything in the face of this ice tower's ability. His cultivation base was only at the 5-shattering realm. Even Ming Ke felt a little nervous. Every time the ice tower rotated, her heart would clench fiercely. She had always had endless confidence in Ning Fan. However, she could not remain calm at this moment. It was because this technique was too powerful. Brother Biscuit, if you die, I won't live anymore. Just as that thought flashed through her mind, the mysterious grey-robed old man who was far away immediately felt a sharp pain in his sea of consciousness. He sighed continuously. Looking at the ice tower, he shook his head and muttered to himself. Fine. If this Rain Sovereign is in danger, I will save him. That devil sovereign has the devil summoning talisman of the summoned river, old ancestor of the ancient devil's abyss, and the ice pill and revolving technique of the northern heaven white devil sect. He probably has a close relationship with these two great forces. But so what? The summoned river sect and the white devil sect are nothing in my eyes. Ning Fan, who was trapped in the ice tower, was not injured at all. The steel of sun and moon had completely devoured the Tao Lotus immortal flame. However, Ning Fan still could not use this immortal flame as he wished. Now, with the help of the cold qi entering his body, Ning Fan caused the immortal flame to compete with the cold qi and gradually subdued the immortal flame. An 8th grade spiritual flame was an immortal flame. The devil flame and the Tao Lotus immortal flame slowly fused. The power of the flame had almost reached the peak of a low-grade 8th grade immortal flame. With this flame protecting him, even if the ice tower rotates for the 18th time, it would not be able to freeze Ning Fan. 15 revolutions, 16 revolutions, 17 revolutions, Moksha Sovereign's magic power in the outside world was almost depleted. However, Ning Fan, who was inside the tower, was brewing an increasingly terrifying flame. Ning Fan should already be dead. Moksha Sovereign heaved a sigh of relief. At the next moment, his eyes were filled with shock. A gigantic black fire diagram suddenly appeared under the ice tower. Countless butterfly shadows flew out of the fire diagram and easily melted the ice pagoda into mist and disappeared. At the moment when the ice tower melted into mist, a black-robed young man appeared in front of everyone while stepping on the fire diagram. In the vast sky, a gigantic fire butterfly with a pair of huge wings appeared out of nowhere. At the moment when the fire butterfly appeared, all the rogue immortals at the scene felt their hearts skip a beat. This technique isn't an immortal technique. However, its power is no less than an immortal technique. Once this technique is activated, it can instantly kill all cultivators below the 9 destruction realm. The 7 rogue immortal old ancestors said in shock. When they took a closer look at the flames in the fire diagram, their expressions changed. Immortal flame. With this flame, this technique can severely injure rogue immortals. Moksha Sovereign looked at the gigantic fire butterfly and his body trembled uncontrollably. He had a premonition that he would die the moment the fire butterfly spread its wings. Ning Fan's face turned pale rapidly. With his current cultivation base, he could already display the complete void-burning butterfly flame technique. However, due to the limitation of his cultivation base, the power of this technique still had room for improvement. Due to the limitation of his comprehension, this technique could still be perfected into an immortal technique one day. The complete display of the void-burning butterfly flame technique was a huge burden on Ning Fan. It was enough to incinerate ordinary 8 destruction realm cultivators. When this technique was infused with the power of the immortal flame, no one below the rogue immortal realm could survive from this technique. Of course, one could imagine the enormous burden on Ning Fan by infusing the immortal flame. His body was faintly unable to withstand the backlash of this technique. There were signs of his physical body collapsing. However, he had to display this technique. No matter what, he must avenge the old devil. No matter what, Moksha Sovereign must die. His eyes were filled with a crazy obsession. Even if his physical body was going to collapse, he would still use this technique. This was a kind of obsession, an obsession that could not be missed when executing the void ignition butterfly flame technique. Ning Fan lifted his finger and gently pointed at Moksha Sovereign. There was an indescribable mysterious feeling when he pointed at Moksha Sovereign. The giant butterfly in the sky flapped its wings at this moment. In just an instant, it flapped its wings 12 times consecutively. A sense of imminent death rose in Moksha Sovereign's heart. I can't escape. I can't hide from it. His eyes were filled with panic. He summoned his devil armor to protect his body. He raised his hands and took out 7 peak immortal void realm defensive magic treasures and 42 defensive devil talismans. Unfortunately, these devil talismans were not immortal talismans. Otherwise, they might be able to resist the void-burning technique. However, he was still not confident. He took out 3 dazzling formation discs and activated all of them. All of a sudden, a peak immortal void realm defensive formation was activated at the outermost layer. He used both of his hands to draw circles of ice. He tried to display the revolving will technique to slightly resist the power of the void-burning butterfly flame technique. I don't want to die. I haven't become a heavenly devil yet. I'm not willing to die like this. He roared in a frenzy. The terrifying fluctuation of his battle technique made all the void fragmentation realm experts' expressions change. All of them retreated several million li. Ming Ke also retreated. However, she was still worried about whether Ning Fan's last attack would succeed or not. Brother Biscuit, please win. You must be safe and sound. Void-burning technique. 2 faint words echoed in the sky for a long time. The black smoke of extinguishing flames covered the entire heaven and earth. The shattered continents turned into ashes one by one. The 3 peak immortal void realm grand formations that Moksha sovereign summoned turned into ashes. 42 devil talisman barriers turned into ashes. 7 peak immortal void realm defensive magic treasures turned into ashes. Moksha sovereign's protective devil armor turned into ashes in an instant. His revolving will technique was directly broken by the void-burning flame smoke. Under the backlash, all of his devil veins were destroyed. Before he could recover, his physical body, primordial spirit and everything about him were buried under the butterfly flame. No! Moksha sovereign's miserable and unwilling cry resounded across the entire broken domain. Countless low-grade cultivators who were searching for treasures were terrified when they heard the miserable cry. This shriek indicated that a cultivator with an earth-shaking cultivation base had died in the upper broken realm. Some divine transformation realm and void refinement realm old monsters who wanted to try their luck in the upper layer turned pale. I can't go to the upper layer of the broken domain. It's too dangerous. After dispersing the flame diagram and the butterfly flame, Ning Fan's body was filled with weakness. He walked towards the place where Moksha Sovereign died. There, Moksha Sovereign's storage pouch was burnt. Countless items that he carried with him were destroyed by the void-burning butterfly flame technique. Only 2 black and jade slips were still floating in the air. Nirvana scripture, these jade slips were made of immortal-grade materials. They were not destroyed. Ning Fan kept the 2 jade slips without saying anything. It was one thing whether he cultivated the Nirvana scripture or not. Since he had obtained this scripture, he naturally had to take it away. His eyes were blank for a moment. He did not feel the joy of avenging himself. Instead, he felt a little lost. Moksha Sovereign was the motivation for him to cultivate diligently for the past 100 years. When Moksha Sovereign died, he seemed to have lost his goal. From a certain perspective, if Moksha Sovereign was not a powerful enemy, Ning Fan would not cultivate so desperately. The group of void fragmentation realm old monsters felt the fluctuations of the battle gradually subsiding and rushed back. When they saw Ning Fan winning and Moksha Sovereign dying, some of them sighed with emotion and some of them looked at Ning Fan with great respect. Suddenly, Ning Fan's expression changed. Without saying a word, a golden vortex formed under his feet. He disappeared from his original spot and reappeared in another place in the blink of an eye. The place where he was standing just now was slashed by a black crescent moon. Then, a furious roar resounded in the sky. Damn it! We are too late. You actually killed Han Yetian. How are we going to explain this to the old ancestor of the summoned river? You deserve to die. As soon as his voice fell, 2 devil-armored old men appeared at the peak of the sea of clouds. They glared at Ning Fan with intense killing intent. They were the helpers that Moksha Sovereign invited. Unfortunately, they were too late. Moksha Sovereign was already dead. Hee hee. I'm sorry. I'm also late. Brother Chu, Brother Gu, it's really regretful that the three of us couldn't kill Han Yetian with our own hands. As soon as his voice fell, three more figures landed beside Ning Fan. One of them was Wei Xian while the other two were rogue immortals. Who are you? Are you trying to stop our Summoned River sect from doing our job? The two devil-armored old men shouted coldly. So what if you're the Summoned River sect? It's far away in the ancient devil's abyss. What does it have to do with me? The rogue immortal with the surname Chu burst into laughter while the rogue immortal with the surname Gu formed a sword seal with his fingers. He remained silent. The flying swords in the sword case on his back were clanging noisily. They looked like they would start a fight if there was any disagreement. I'm sorry. I'm late. You can go and have a rest. I'll help you settle the rest. Wei Xian patted Ning Fan's shoulder. His eyes flashed with astonishment. The current Ning Fan really surprised him. With his cultivation base at the 6th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm, he could kill Moksha Sovereign with his full combat power. Old Man Han really took in a good disciple, the Summoned River sect of the Ancient Devil's Abyss, 2 rogue immortals and a deacon of the 4 heavens from the Northern Heaven immortal world. I wonder who will win this battle. The Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters who had some knowledge on the scene fell silent. In the next moment, the 2 devil-armored old men directly attacked and exchanged blows with Chu and Gu. Just as they were exchanging blows, one of the 2 devil-armored old men with green hair suddenly sneered and said, "My friends here, is there anyone who can help my Summoned River sect to kill Ning Fan? I'll report to the sect later. The person who kills Ning Fan will be rewarded with 50 million Dao crystals." 50 million Dao crystals. As soon as they heard that there would be such a great reward, many of the old monsters' eyes were filled with killing intent. The ape sovereign, Gu Dao and old ancestor Western Mountain took a step forward, looking like they were going to attack Ning Fan. The snake sovereign licked his lips and ordered the 3 delicate snake ladies behind him to hide themselves. They would wait for an opportunity to ambush Ning Fan and seize his corpse. It was probably impossible to capture Ning Fan alive and turn him into a human cauldron. Hence, she would seize his corpse and return to the palace to pluck his flesh. It would also be a wonderful thing. It would definitely improve her cultivation base. Some unknown old monsters secretly took a step forward, preparing to attack Ning Fan from all sides. They were waiting for an opportunity to kill Ning Fan and obtain the reward of 50 million Dao crystals. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. There were at least 20 people who dared to target him with killing intent. There were no rogue immortal old monsters among them. They would not recklessly intervene in the dispute between the 2 forces for the sake of the Dao crystals. However, there were a few of them who were at the 8 broken realm. Ning Fan, who was currently in a weakened state, was no match for them. However, what did he have to be afraid of? Those who want to kill me for the reward, get out here. All of you come at me together. His hand pressed on the devil's sealing pouch. Chapter 674. All of you, come at me together. Why would I be afraid? Ning Fan placed his hand on the devil's sealing pouch and strode forward. His eyes were filled with terrifying killing intent. There were more than 20 people present who wanted to kill him. There were at least 40 of them. However, some of them were still observing and did not dare to openly reveal their killing intent in case Ning Fan found out. At first, Wei Xian wanted to help Ning Fan. However, when his gaze fell on the devil's sealing pouch on Ning Fan's waist, he seemed to have noticed something and did not make a move. Even though his cultivation base had fallen, he was once a life immortal realm expert after all. He still had some judgment and means that he should have. He noticed that Ning Fan had a rogue devil realm devil slave in his hand. Facing this group of reckless cultivators, it would not be difficult for him to defeat them. Ming Kei's face was filled with anxiety. She could tell that there were countless people who wanted to kill Ning Fan. Even though her cultivation base was only at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, she still wanted to help Ning Fan regardless of everything. At this moment, a faint voice entered her ears. "Miss, don't worry. Your brother Biscuit still has his strongest trump card." "Who is it? Who is talking to me?" Ming Ke looked around but could not find the person who spoke. Ning Fan's battle with Moksha Sovereign had resulted in a significant backlash. His magic power was severely depleted and his body was extremely weak. However, his aura force did not decrease at all. Instead, it became even sharper and more terrifying. Some of the cultivators who wanted to take advantage of Ning Fan were discouraged when they saw how fearless he was. They gritted their teeth and gave up on the idea. The ape sovereign, Gu Dao and old ancestor Western Mountain's eyes turned grim. Each of them had a grudge against Ning Fan. Now that there was a reward of 50 million Dao crystals, it was impossible for them to let Ning Fan go. Two of them were from the devil world while the other one was from the heaven immortal world. They stepped out of the crowd and surrounded Ning Fan. Then, experts from the Three Worlds sect, Ape Hall, Western Mountain Hall, Snake Hall and some rogue old monsters stepped out of the crowd. There were a total of 25 of them. Those old monsters who did not want to get involved in the dispute of this place retreated. "Ha! I like this kid. He dares to fight a group of cultivators without fear. He has the spirit of Old Man Han." Rogue Immortal Chu laughed heartily while fighting against a devil-armored old man. "Yes, it's not bad." The taciturn Rogue Immortal Gu nodded and said to Rogue Immortal Chu via voice transmission, "If necessary, you block the two summoned river rogue devils. I'll go save him." "Okay." Loose Immortal Chu readily agreed. The two devil-armored old men of the summoned river sect smirked coldly. They entangled Chu and Gu tightly, not giving their clones any chance to save Ning Fan. From their point of view, Wei Xian's cultivation base had been reduced to 20%. It was not enough for him to save Ning Fan. Currently, Ning Fan was too weak to fight against a group of cultivators. With the reward of 50 million Dao crystals, Ning Fan would definitely die under the blades of the group of cultivators. No one would be able to save him. Humph. As long as you kill this child, you can more or less give Ancestor an explanation, and also let the two of us have a lighter punishment. Just as the green-haired loose devil had this thought, his expression suddenly changed. The Chu and Gu duo were slightly surprised and all the cultivators present were shocked. The 31 void fragmentation realm old monsters who were besieging Ning Fan instantly revealed an expression of extreme fear. At this moment, Ning Fan opened the pouch. At this moment, a black mist rushed into the sky and turned into a gigantic demonic creature. "Loose devil. Big head, do you know who you want to kill?" Ning Fan asked coldly. "I know. You must kill anyone who shows killing intent towards you, right?" "Wait. I'm not called Big Head." The loose devil protested endlessly. Although his head was a little huge as a devil creature. Although one of his divine abilities was indeed to transform into a giant skull, it was impossible for him to do so. However, he really did not like the name Big Head. Big Head Loose Devil. The evil Cloud Rain Sovereign actually has a big head loose devil. This is bad. As soon as one of the 5 old monsters of the mountain world saw the appearance of the loose devil, he turned around and fled in fear. His words, however, ignited the loose devil's anger in an instant. "I'm not Big Head. You're the motherfucking Big Head. Your entire family is Big Head." The loose devil threw a punch. A black mist fist light carried an earth-shattering howl and killed the 5 old monsters who had already fled a million li away with a single punch. Then, he opened his mouth and swallowed, keeping the storage pouch along with the dead body and tossing them aside. Before coming to the ancient heavenly court, Ning Fan had taught him to take away the corpse and the storage pouch after killing someone. Damn it! It's actually a loose devil. It seems like we won't be able to get these 50 million Tao crystals. I'm afraid our heads will have to be handed over here. This is really bad. The 8 old monsters of the heaven immortal world were filled with fear. They turned around and wanted to flee. The loose devil became even more furious. Human head. Big. How dare you call me big head? You're the motherfucking big head. The loose devil's body turned into black mist and turned into a gigantic skull. Without giving the man any time to escape, it swallowed him into the skull. The ape sovereign was scared. The old ancestor of the western mountain was scared. Gu Dao was scared. The 2 8 Shatterer experts of the devil world were all scared. There were only 29 void fragmentation realm enemies left. Who wouldn't be afraid of a loose devil? What? What a scary skull. Ah. Big your mother's head. The skull swallowed the 6 old monsters of the broken 6. Head, 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 head for our lives. One of the 4 old monsters of the broken 4 turned around and fled. Head my ass. The skull swallowed the 4 old monsters of the broken 4 without any hesitation. Lord! Lord, please spare my life. One of the 3 old monsters of the broken 4 pleaded while trembling. Big your mother's head. Eh? You didn't say big. Forget it. I've already eaten him. The loose devil swallowed the 3 old monsters of the broken 4. The loose devil seemed to have gone berserk and began a frenzied massacre. He opened up a barrier and trapped all of Ning Fan's enemies within it. Then, he swallowed them one by one. 2 of the 8 Shatterer experts of the devil world summoned their magic treasures in an attempt to resist the loose devil. However, they were swallowed along with their magic treasures. The loose devil realized that he had become stronger. Swallowing the 8 Shatterer experts of the devil world was effortless. Ever since he followed behind old ancestor Shilon and fought against a life immortal realm expert, his strength had actually broken through several small bottlenecks and become stronger. If it wasn't for the fact that old ancestor Shilon gave him the name Big Head, he would really be grateful to old ancestor Shilon. While the loose devil was killing the group of cultivators, Ning Fan did not stay idle either. He sneered and released his baleful chi, forcing the 3 snake women who were hiding beside him to reveal themselves. The 3 snake women were all at the 4 Shatterer realm. They came from the Snake Palace and were ordered by the Snake Sovereign to sneak attack Ning Fan. After being forced to reveal themselves by Ning Fan's baleful chi, the 3 of them were so scared that their faces turned pale. They turned around and ran. However, could they escape from him? Een imprisoning rope. Ning Fan pointed his finger and produced 3 Een imprisoning ropes. He tied the 3 of them up and threw them into his cauldron ring. How could he not accept void fragmentation realm cauldrons that were delivered to his doorstep? You. Give me 3 cauldrons in exchange for them. The Snake Sovereign was enraged. He took out a dragon crutch magic treasure and attacked Ning Fan. With just a glance, Ning Fan could tell that the Snake Sovereign was a female demon who would plunder both men and women. The Snake Sovereign was the one who first released killing intent towards him. The yin and yang in this person's body were in a mess. The benefits of plucking this person were too little. Ning Fan lifted his hand and pointed at the dragon crutch. His body flashed and appeared in front of the Snake Sovereign in an instant. Then, he pressed his palm on the top of the Snake Sovereign's head. Bang! With just a single palm strike, the Snake Sovereign's entire body turned into a pile of minced meat. Even his demon soul was destroyed. Ning Fan casually took away his storage pouch. The frailty on his face deepened, but his murderous aura became even heavier. His eyes swept across the battlefield. When he saw that there were less than 20 people left, his eyes flashed with cold light. He performed a hand seal with all 10 of his fingers and a massive golden vortex appeared beneath his feet. Outside of the first golden vortex, a second vortex was formed. Outside of the second vortex, a third vortex was formed. Outside of the third vortex, there were countless other vortexes. It was the enhanced version of the spatial strangulation vortex, the infinite spatial vortex. In an instant, all the old monsters who were below the fifth level of fragmentation realm were minced into minced meat by the power of the spatial vortex. Their primordial spirits and demon souls perished. Only the ape sovereign, Gu Dao, the old ancestor of the Western Mountain, and 4 rogue cultivators of the 6th level of fragmentation realm were left alive. Ning Fan felt a sharp pain in his chest and blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. He had already reached his limit. He would leave the rest to the rogue devil. Bang! 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 The rogue devil had already retreated from his skeletal body. He stomped on the ground with his 4 massive feet, directly crushing the 4 rogue cultivators into minced meat. The old ancestor of the Western Mountain was filled with regret. He regretted hating Ning Fan for a mere Zhao Banji and attacking Ning Fan for the reward of 50 million Dao crystals. Little friend, if you let me go, I promise you that the mountain world and the rain world will forever be allies. We will never invade each other. He roared in Ning Fan's direction. He knew that begging the rogue devil for mercy was useless. The rogue devil was basically a lunatic. No need. If you die, who else in the mountain world will dare to invade my rain world? Kill. As soon as Ning Fan gave the order, the rogue devil chuckled and made a grabbing motion with his large hand. He sucked the old ancestor into his palm and asked. Hee hee. Do you think my head is big or not? No. No. The old ancestor was drenched in cold sweat. His entire body was trembling. As long as the rogue devil uses his palm force, he would certainly turn into a pile of minced meat and die without an intact corpse. You're lying. Bang. The rogue devil squeezed the old ancestor to death furiously. Then, he made a grabbing motion with his large hand and caught the ape sovereign. Speak. Am I a big head? The rogue devil asked angrily. The ape sovereign gritted his teeth so hard that they broke. It was really unwise to offend Ning Fan for the sake of a disciple. For the sake of 50 million Dao crystals, it was even more unwise to attack Ning Fan from all sides. It was all his own fault that he ended up in this situation today. He had to admit it. However, he had always been proud. Even if he was going to die, he would not beg for mercy like the old ancestor. He would not lower his head to the rogue devil and flatter him. Moreover, the old ancestor flattered the rogue devil by saying that he was not big but he was still dead in the end. You're obviously the big head. Nonsense. You're the motherfucking big head. Bang! The rogue devil squeezed the ape sovereign to death in a fit of rage. It was as easy as squeezing a little chick to death. His gaze shifted to Gu Dao. Gu Dao's face turned pale. He gritted his teeth and said. All the experts of the 3 Worlds sect are dead. Our sect only exists in name. I don't want to live any longer. However, before I die, I must drag someone down with me. Chiye's silver whirlpool suddenly appeared beneath Gu Dao's feet. His figure instantly disappeared. At the next moment, he stepped on the silver whirlpool and appeared behind Ning Fan. Without saying anything, he was about to detonate his primordial spirit and perish together with Ning Fan. The self-detonation of a 7-break-old monster was really not to be underestimated. It could even severely injure an 8-break-old monster. It was already very rare to be able to force a 7-break-old monster to self-detonate. You do have some backbone. I'll use the technique of your 3 Worlds sect to send you to your death. Spatial Vortex. A massive golden whirlpool rose beneath Ning Fan's feet. It directly sucked Gu Dao, who had given up on defending himself, and self-detonated into his natal heavenly dwelling. With a loud bang, Gu Dao self-detonated in the space of his heavenly dwelling. His flesh and blood were devoured by the spatial vortex. His storage pouch flashed and flew into Ning Fan's hand. There was even a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit that came along with it. Ning Fan burned the broken limbs and flesh on the ground with his immortal flame. After refining the essence of their flesh and blood, he kept all of them into his cauldron world and fed them to Nyeli. As for the storage pouches on the ground, they were all taken away by Ning Fan. After that, he ordered the rogue devil to remove the barrier. Big head, well done. It was obviously a compliment. However, when the rogue devil heard it, it almost made him go berserk. You're the motherfucker. Just as he wanted to retort and scold Ning Fan, he immediately shut his mouth obediently when he met Ning Fan's cold gaze. Now that he had truly become Ning Fan's devil slave, his life and death were in Ning Fan's hands. He could scold anyone but Ning Fan. Among the 31 void fragmentation realm experts, 3 of them were captured and turned into human cauldrons while the rest were dead. All the void fragmentation realm old monsters present were shocked. The 7 rogue immortal old ancestors were also shocked. With this rogue devil, the Rain world is no longer the lower 3 realms. It won't be an exaggeration to say that it's one of the upper 3 realms. The eyes of the 2 devil-armored old men of the Summoned River sect were filled with astonishment. Rogue Immortal Chu burst into laughter and said to Ning Fan. Good kid. Do you want to join me and kill these 2 rogue devils of the Summoned River sect? I won't participate in the battle. Big head, you go. As soon as Ning Fan gave the order, the rogue devil soared into the sky. Together with Chu and Gu, they immediately formed a pincer attack. It was 3 against 2 and they had the upper hand. One of the rogue devils of the Summoned River sect was severely injured. He gritted his teeth and took out a talisman. He stuck it on his chest and disappeared without a trace. Motherfucker. One of them escaped. This one must stay. Rogue Immortal Chu cursed angrily. He patted his storage pouch and took out a secret treasure. He hit the other green-haired rogue devil, causing him to spurt out blood and fall to the sky. This green-haired rogue devil was the one who offered 50 million Dao crystals to kill Ning Fan. Rogue Immortal Gu did not give the green-haired rogue devil a chance to fall to the sky. He drew the heavenly light with his sword and cut the green-haired rogue devil into 2 halves. Big Head laughed and threw a punch, crushing the 2 halves of the green-haired rogue devil's body into pieces, revealing his terrified primordial spirit. You guys are really despicable. How dare you bully me with numbers? Knowing that he was no match for them, he actually tried to play a trick. Capture his primordial spirit alive. I want to search his soul. Ning Fan said to Rogue Immortal Ling. He was quite interested in the ancient devil's abyss. He wanted to obtain some information about it from this person's memory. Just a piece of cake. Lock. The ancient devil pointed his finger and the devil mist turned into a devil lock, binding the green-haired rogue devil's primordial spirit. Then, he took his storage pouch. He landed on the ground and handed everything to Ning Fan. Ning Fan received the primordial spirit and kept the pouch. He turned a deaf ear to the green-haired rogue devil's curses and begging for mercy and directly searched his memories. After that, he sealed the idiotic primordial spirit. Perhaps, it could be used in pill concoction in the future. The void fragmentation realm old monsters of the devil world and the other worlds felt a chill down their spines. A rogue devil was actually besieged and captured alive. Then, Ning Fan searched his memories. That was a rogue devil expert. He was one of the rare existences in the lower worlds. When the experts of the demon world saw what happened to the green-haired rogue devil, they could not help but recall the scene where Ning Fan killed the 4 yellow dragon rogue demons that day. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. When they thought of the countless experts who had fallen today, each of the old monsters looked at Ning Fan with respect. So many experts had fallen within a day. Among them were quite a number of sovereign realm experts and the old ancestors of one of the palaces. The 9 worlds were probably in a state of shock. With this person around, no one could stop the rise of the rain world, this person must not be offended. The eyes of the cloaked old man who was standing at the side flashed with a hint of surprise. You're a good junior. Unfortunately, you're not from my demon spirit land. What a pity. Ming Ke walked forward and hugged Ning Fan's arm. Her small hands were trembling. Previously, when she saw Ning Fan being besieged by so many experts, she almost lost all hope. Fortunately, it's still all right. Brother Biscuit, quickly stabilize your injuries. I'll protect you. All right. Ning Fan sat cross-legged on the ground. He casually took out a 7th revolution pill and consumed it to heal his injuries. Beside him, Wei Xian and Chu Gu were also protecting him. Among the people present, who would dare to have any evil thoughts? The old Fox Sovereign and the old Crimson Sovereign exchanged glances and sighed. They had lost another chance to befriend Ning Fan. If the two of them had helped Ning Fan when he was besieged just now, they hesitated for a moment and were afraid of the Summoning River sect. Hence, they missed the chance. If the old Yuan Sovereign was here, he would probably help Ning Fan without hesitation. Chapter 675. A day later, Ning Fan suppressed his internal injuries and his complexion slightly recovered. Even though his injuries were not fully healed, his magical power was fully restored. At this moment, he could even win against Seven Sui. It seems like your injuries are no longer a problem. If so, I can leave with a peace of mind. Wei Xian said with a gratified smile. Senior is leaving. Aren't you going to enter the Heavenly Court's ruins with me? Ning Fan was surprised. There's no need. This time, this old man has brought Chu and Gu to the lower worlds. Firstly, it's to help you kill Wuxia Sovereign. Secondly, it's to bring some things to your master in the Sword World, and also to help him complete the final step of unsealing the Tao Earth. I see. Ning Fan knew that he was busy unsealing the Tao Earth to plant the Tao fruit. That being the case, he naturally would not stop Wei Xian and the others from going to the Sword World. If Senior sees my master, please help me pass a message to him. Just say, the traitor died in Ning Fan's hands, please restrain your condolences. Finished speaking, Ning Fan closed his eyes. He knew that the old monster's heart had an indelible sorrow for Han Yetian's betrayal. He hated Han Yetian, but he never killed him. The old monster was decisive in killing outsiders, but he was still merciful to his own disciples, even if they were evil disciples. Ning Fan firmly believed that with the old monster's previous cultivation and identity, it would not be difficult to find an expert to cure him. If he really wanted to kill Han Yetian, he only needed to give an order and the experts of the Black Evil sect would go to the lower world to kill him even if they had to defy the heavenly law. If he really wanted to kill Han Yetian, he would have asked that golden-eyed sword cultivator to do it. To that golden-eyed sword cultivator, not to mention Han Yetian, even a life immortal or an ordinary true crossing realm true immortal wouldn't have a hard time killing them. The old monster was just unwilling. He had always been waiting for Han Yetian to turn back. He had always been giving Han Yetian a chance. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. He was unwilling to restore his cultivation. The sorrow in his heart was hard to erase, until Ning Fan's appearance gave him hope and reignited his fighting spirit. He wanted to restore his cultivation, wanted to protect his Xiaomei, wanted to support the sky for Ning Fan. But at this time, Han Yetian came to 7 Apricot City, destroying the old monster's expectations and once again breaking his heart. Ning Fan knew that if he killed Wuxia Sovereign, he would be able to resolve the knot in the old monster's heart and take his revenge, but it would also make the old monster grieve. That was because even in death, Han Yetian did not wake up, nor did he look back. Wei Xian sighed and nodded. Then, he took out a jade slip and passed it to Ning Fan. This diagram contains some information about the ancient heavenly court's 33 heavens. Perhaps it will be useful to you. Originally, this old man had prepared some things for you to break through to the void fragmentation realm. However, it seems like I don't need them anymore. After entering the ancient heavenly court, you have to be extra careful. As long as you don't cause any big trouble, you won't be in danger with the help of the rogue devil. As soon as Wei Xian finished speaking, Rogue Immortal Chu also stepped forward and patted Ning Fan's shoulder in a friendly manner. I, Chu Jiangnan, find you very pleasing to the eye. If you come to True Flame Star one day, remember to come and find me for a drink. Rogue Immortal Gu also stepped forward and nodded at Ning Fan. His words were like gold, but his eyes were full of praise. Old Man Han's life is not in vain to have you as his disciple. If he comes to Northern Heaven in the future and encounters any trouble, he can come to Northern Heaven Myriad Sword Sect to look for me. Those who were willing to help the old monster when he was in dire straits must be good friends. Ning Fan naturally did not dare to neglect them. He cupped his fists and promised them. After that, Wei Xian and the other two went to the lower broken domain, heading towards the Sword World. Biscuit brother, what did you see in that green-haired old man's memory? Can you tell me about it? I'm very interested in the ancient demon's abyss. Perhaps one day, I will ascend to the ancient demon's abyss. After all, I'm a pill. Bright Sparrow was babbling nonsense. Before she could finish her words, Ning Fan had already pulled her into his arms and covered her mouth. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with reproach. If Bright Sparrow reveals her identity as a pill devil here, she would probably get into trouble. The face of the gray-cloaked old man twitched. It seemed like he could not accept Ning Fan hugging Bright Sparrow like this. When he heard that Bright Sparrow wanted to ascend to the ancient demon's abyss, he found it even more unacceptable. What kind of joke is this? She is a noble being. How can she ascend to a filthy place like the ancient demon's abyss? If you want to know more about the ancient demon's abyss, I can tell you. However, you must not speak nonsense anymore. Do you understand? Ning Fan reprimanded. I will remember. Being half-hugged by Ning Fan, Bright Sparrow felt her heart beating faster and her face turned red. Take a look. These are the incomplete memories of that rogue devil. Ning Fan let go of Bright Sparrow and touched her glabella with a finger, transmitting the incomplete memories into her sea of consciousness. Then, he took out the jade slip that Wei Xian gave him and sent his spirit sense into it. So this is the ancient demon's abyss. The old ancestor of the summoned river is obviously a heaven devil at the crossing truth realm. However, the summoned river sect is just a weak force in the ancient demon's abyss. The ancient demon's abyss is so powerful, Bright Sparrow could not help but exclaim. All the void fragmentation realm old monsters listened attentively, especially the cultivators of the devil world. The ancient demon's abyss was very mysterious. Even the four great rogue devil old ancestors of the devil world had a limited understanding of it. They did not have Ning Fan's boldness to search the memories of the experts of the summoned river sect. Ning Fan did not pay attention to Bright Sparrow. As long as she did not reveal her identity as a pill devil, she could say whatever she wanted. His mind was completely immersed in the jade slip that Wei Xian gave him. When he finished reading the contents, he remained silent. In the ruins of the heavenly court, there were many demonic beasts and devils running amok. However, they were not worth his attention. What he needed to pay attention to was the Immortal Burying Clan. The ancestor of the Immortal Burying Clan was rumored to be an expert who was condensed from the corpse chi and resentment of the immortals who died in the ancient heavenly court. During his lifetime, he founded the Immortal Burying Clan with his own hands and it dominated the 33 heavens. When immortals died, no one buried them. Therefore, the Immortal Burying Clan was born. There were many void fragmentation realm experts in the Immortal Burying Clan. There were also 9 ancestors and 18 kings. Each of them was a rogue immortal expert. The Immortal Burying Clan cultivated corpse chi, practiced corpse techniques and refined corpse poison. They often devoured the ancient corpses of the heavenly court. If you enter the 33 heavens, try not to kill the experts of the Immortal Burying Clan. If you kill one of them, you will attract the attack of countless members of the immortal burying clan. That was Wei Xian's warning. After passing through the sealed door, one could enter the first heavenly realm. When others enter the sealed door, they would need to wait for the seal to be broken. If they have the Void Sky token, they could ignore the seal and enter the first heavenly realm in advance. There were 2 heavenly gates in the first heavenly realm which led to the second heavenly realm. These 2 heavenly gates were guarded by the immortal burying clan. One could only enter the first heavenly realm by paying with Tao crystals. There were 3 heavenly gates leading to the third heavenly realm from the second heavenly realm. With each passing day, one more heavenly gate would appear and the realm would become much wider. After keeping the jade slip, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out a red copper token. There were 10 sun engravings on it. This was the Void Sky token. It was the token of the immortals of the ancient heavenly court. It could directly enter the sealed door and some special forbidden places in the ancient heavenly court. Normally, only true immortals of the 4 heavens were qualified to hold this token. We still have to wait for 2 more days before the seal opens. This is so boring. Ming Ke had already finished reading the information about the ancient demon's abyss. In that case, let's enter the ruins of the heavenly court first. Ning Fan held Ming Ke's petite body with his right arm and waved the copper token in his left hand. The 2 of them immediately passed through the sealed door with a flash of light and entered the first heavenly realm. The Void Sky token. The Void Sky token that can directly enter the heavenly court. The evil Cloud Rain Sovereign actually has this item. Even in the 4 heavens, only old monsters who are above the true immortal realm possess this item. He actually has it. Countless exclamations resounded in the surroundings. Even the grey-robed old man who was wearing a cloak was slightly surprised. All of this had nothing to do with Ning Fan. He kept the Void Sky token and put Ming Ke down. They were already in the first heavenly realm. As soon as they arrived, Ming Ke immediately raised her nose and sniffed with all her might. Her eyes were filled with excitement. There are so many delicious things. Here and here. There are all of them. Let's go look for food quickly. The little girl was drooling. Wait. Let me find the location of the heavenly gates first. Ning Fan closed his eyes. His body was surrounded by a heavenly green rain intent. He used the heaven-peering rain technique. Si Wuxia had given him 3 years to ascend to the 33 heavens. Moreover, she even said that he had to disregard everything. Ning Fan already had a guess in his mind. Each of the 33 heavens must be extremely vast. Otherwise, there was no need for him to spend so much time. Wow! It's raining. Ming Ke looked at the drizzling sky and could not help but recall the days when it was raining heavily in the dark sparrow's grave. The curtain of rain stretched far away. With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, using the heaven-peering rain technique was enough to make the entire rain world be covered in rain. However, the first heavenly realm was obviously much vaster than the rain world. With his rain technique, not only did he not manage to find the edge of the first heavenly realm, he also could not find the location of the 2 heavenly gates. Within the range of his senses, there were at least thousands of demon beasts and devil beasts above the void fragmentation realm. There were also some cultivators who were as skinny as a match. They wore black armor and held long spears in their hands. They were in secluded cultivation in this place. Those people were probably the members of the immortal burial clan that Wei Xian mentioned. Ning Fan withdrew his rain technique and frowned. For a moment, he did not know which direction he should go in order to find the heavenly gates that led to the second heavenly realm. I might as well follow Ming Quebec. Her nose is sensitive. She might be able to smell the location of the heavenly gates. Little girl, try and see if you can smell the location of the heavenly gates. Heavenly gates? What's that? Ming Ke asked in confusion. Forget it. Let's take one step at a time. You bring me to search for treasures. If we can meet some members of the Immortal Burial Clan who are also searching for treasures, we can ask them where the heavenly gates are. They are guarding the heavenly gates to collect Tao crystals. If I give them some Tao crystals, it shouldn't be difficult for them to ask for directions. Ning Fan took out his ancient golden sword and carried Ming Ke on his sword. He consumed pills to treat his injuries on the sword while Ming Ke was responsible for leading the way to search for treasures. Most of the demon beasts and devil beasts that they encountered along the way had their cultivation bases broken. Those who tried to attack them were all killed by Ning Fan casually and their corpses were thrown to Niali for him to devour. After devouring the flesh and blood essence of a rogue devil and countless experts, Niali actually showed signs of breaking through to the seventh fragmentation realm. With Ming Ke's guidance, Ning Fan discovered quite a number of extremely secretive ancient immortal caves. These caves had existed for a very long time. The items inside them were no longer useful. Occasionally, they would find a half-destroyed immortal treasure but Ning Fan was not interested in it at all. On the other hand, he found quite a number of Tao crystals. Together with the 32 storage pouches that he obtained previously, he already had 3 million Tao crystals with him. There were also some rare spiritual herbs growing in these caves. The lowest grade of them was 50,000 years old while the highest grade of them was even 200,000 years old. To the current Ning Fan, spiritual herbs were temporarily useless to him. He did not have the time to study pill refinement techniques. Since Ming Ke wanted to eat these spiritual herbs, he gave them all to her. Brother Biscuit, it smells so good. It really smells so good. I can smell an incredible fragrance. There must be a lot of good items in this direction. Ming Ke suddenly pointed to the north of the east and said excitedly. Is that so? Then let's go and have a look. Ning Fan smiled indifferently. Speaking of which, it was strange. They actually did not encounter any experts of the Immortal Burial Clan along the way. Thus, Ning Fan did not have any chance to ask any questions at all. However, in the direction that Ming Ke was pointing at, Ning Fan could vaguely sense a lot of strong qi. They seemed to be the members of the Immortal Burial Clan. If I go in that direction, I will most likely be able to ask for directions. The speed of the ancient golden sword was comparable to that of a rogue immortal. After a dozen flashes, it had already traveled more than 100 million li. From afar, he could see a blood-red light that shot up to the sky. That blood-red light gave Ning Fan an extremely uncomfortable feeling. The sword light flew all the way to where the blood-red light was. When it got close to the place, Ning Fan retracted his sword light. He could vaguely see an ancient sacrificial altar below. On the sacrificial altar, members of the Immortal Burial Clan who were clad in black armor were constantly being killed as if they were being sacrificed. In the sky above the sacrificial altar, the blood-red light shot up to the sky. Countless rare spiritual herbs were displayed on the four sides of the sacrificial altar. Countless members of the Immortal Burial Clan were silently chanting ancient scriptures in front of the sacrificial altar and bowing their heads in worship. Aya. It turns out that these spiritual herbs already have an owner. Seems like I can't eat them anymore. Ming Ke's face was filled with disappointment. These spiritual herbs are the sacrificial offerings of the Immortal Burial Clan. If it's not necessary, it's not worth getting into a fight with them for these spiritual herbs. The reason why Ning Fan entered the ancient heavenly court was to find the undying tree and save Mu Weiliang. If it's possible, he did not want to cause any trouble and he was even more unwilling to offend the local tyrant of this place, the Immortal Burial Clan. If he kills any member of the Immortal Burial Clan, he would be surrounded and attacked by the entire clan. The Immortal Burial Clan had countless experts and there were even 9 ancestors and 18 kings. If he is chased by 27 rogue immortals, Ning Fan did not have the confidence to protect himself. Humph. Who are you? Don't you know that this place is the forbidden area of my clan and no one is allowed to peep into it? 12 Void Fragmentation Realm black-armored burly men rose into the sky and surrounded the ancient golden sword. Among the 12 of them, the weakest one was at the 5th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm while the strongest one was a bald burly man at the 7th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. These 12 people were the strongest experts in this place. They seemed to be the guards of this place. Ning Fan cupped his fists at the bald burly man and said, "I just happened to pass by this place. I don't have any intention to spy on you." "Is that so? So you are cultivators from the outside world?" The burly man's eyes flashed with a hint of disdain and he sneered. "That's right. I am indeed a cultivator from the outside world. I wonder if you have a map of the first heaven realm? I am looking for the heavenly gate that leads to the second heaven realm." Ning Fan's expression remained unchanged, ignoring the burly man's disdain. "Oh. You want the map of the first heaven realm?" The burly man rolled his eyes and burst into laughter. "That's easy. 1,000,000 Tao crystals for a map. If you are willing to pay, I will sell you a copy of the map. If you don't want to pay, you can continue searching aimlessly in the first heaven realm. I don't mind telling you one thing. Among the 33 heavens, the first heaven is the smallest. However, even the smallest heaven realm is as vast as 20 small kiliocosms. Even if you have the map and know where the heavenly gate is, it will take you at least half a month to reach the nearest heavenly gate from here. If you are to search aimlessly." The burly man raised 3 fingers and said with a cold smile, "It will take you at least 3 years to find the location of the heavenly gate." As a member of the Immortal Burial clan, the burly man had always looked down on cultivators from the outside world. Seeing that Ning Fan was in a hurry to travel, he naturally wanted to extort a sum of money from him. Ming Ke was so surprised that she could not close her small mouth. Selling a map for 1,000,000 Tao crystals was really too expensive. To the members of the Immortal Burial clan, making a map was extremely simple. They just needed to carve a jade slip on it. It could be sold for 1,000,000 Tao crystals. He was obviously trying to raise the price. "Brother Biscuit, I will go and beat him up. When he is afraid of me, he will certainly give you a copy of the map for free." Ming Ke waved her fist and said, "Beat him up? Can you defeat him?" I can't, but I still have you, right? Don't tell me you can bear to see me being bullied by others." Ming Ke giggled. Ning Fan shook his head with a smile. If it wasn't because of the importance of saving Mu Weiliang, which he could not afford to make any mistakes, he would certainly not be extorted by others for no reason given his personality. He was never the kind of person who would suffer losses. As for now, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and a storage pouch containing 1,000,000 Tao crystals flew into the hands of the burly bald man. The bald man was slightly stunned. Originally, he just wanted to tease Ning Fan. He did not expect that Ning Fan would pay him. In his eyes, Ning Fan was an outsider who only had a 6th Shattering Realm cultivation base. He was at the 7th Shattering Realm. Why would he be afraid of a 6th Shattering Realm cultivator? In the past, when the ancient heavenly court opened, which outsider cultivator did not act cautiously in fear of offending the Immortal Burial clan? Even rogue immortals had to cup their fists and greet the members of the Immortal Burial clan, let alone Ning Fan, who was just at the 6th Shattering Realm. Who would dare to offend the Immortal Burial clan in the 33 heavens? The burly bald man did not expect Ning Fan to be willing to pay 1,000,000 Tao crystals for the map. With 1,000,000 Tao crystals in his hand, the burly man's heart skipped a beat. 1,000,000 is too little. If you give me 2,000,000 Tao crystals, I will give you the map of the first day. We agreed on 1,000,000. Why did it become 2,000,000 now? Ming Ke was a little angry. If you are unwilling to pay, just leave. Of course, I won't return this 1,000,000 to you. The burly bald man said mockingly. Ning Fan frowned but did not say anything. He flicked his sleeve again and tossed a storage pouch to the burly bald man. There were another 1,000,000 Dao crystals in this storage pouch. I want the map. Ning Fan's tone became slightly cold. Another 1,000,000 Dao crystals. The burly bald man licked his lips. The 11 experts of the Immortal Burial Clan at the side looked at him enviously. Envious. They are really envious. In their eyes, Ning Fan was just a fat sheep that could be slaughtered at any time. However, this fat sheep was monopolized by the burly bald man. There was no other way. After all, the burly bald man had the highest cultivation base. If there were benefits, he would naturally get them first. I've changed my mind. A map for 3,000,000 Dao crystals. You have to give me another 1,000,000 Dao crystals. Wait. The burly bald man suddenly looked at Ming Ke in disbelief, as if he had discovered something unbelievable. He took out a blood-red jade pendant and shone it at Ming Quebec. When the jade pendant lit up slightly, he was immediately overjoyed. Ha! A pill devil. I'm really lucky. There's actually a pill devil among the outsider cultivators this time. The 9 ancestors and 18 kings have ordered us to find a pill devil to help our ancestor revive. Great! This is really great. This great merit has been obtained by me. The burly bald man kept the blood-red jade pendant and looked at Ning Fan with a cold smile. Young man, hand over all the Dao crystals you have. Then, hand over the little girl beside you to me. This ancient golden sword isn't bad either. Give me one of them and I'll give you a map. You. Little Ming Ke was so angry that she could no longer speak. She had seen people who were insatiable. However, it was her first time seeing someone like the burly bald man who had no sense of propriety. After all, the Immortal Burial Clan was used to being arrogant. In their eyes, outsider cultivators were just people who could be bullied and humiliated. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with killing intent, but he forcefully suppressed it. He pulled Ming Ke behind him and said coldly, I don't want the map anymore. Farewell. If it wasn't necessary, he really did not want to start a war with the Immortal Burial Clan. He just wanted to save Mu Weiliang peacefully. However, it was also impossible for him to hand Ming Ke over to these people. Trying to leave? Humph. I originally wanted to let you go. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being impolite. Let's attack together and kill that outsider cultivator. Capture that little pill devil girl alive and bring her back to receive the reward. As soon as the burly bald man gave his order, the 11 experts of the Immortal Burial Clan swarmed towards the ancient sword. Ning Fan closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his eyes flashed with cold light. Today, he had already endured it again and again. However, this member of the Immortal Burial Clan had crossed his bottom line. He turned around and transformed into black robes. He raised his hand and extracted the Earth Soul and Void Soul. Ning Fan's cultivation base instantly reached the peak of the 7th Soul Break realm. His body instantly turned into black shadows and dispersed. The entire sky was covered by the black shadows and it dyed the vast sky black. In an instant, all 11 experts of the Immortal Burial Clan were enveloped by the black shadows. 7 of them at the 5th Soul Break realm and 4 of them at the 6th Soul Break realm screamed in terror at the same time. Their bodies were minced into pieces by the black shadows, turning into a rain of blood and minced flesh that rained down from the sky. Their primordial spirits were instantly killed by the Black Tempest soul-splitting technique. How dare you kill members of the Immortal Burial Clan? Aren't you afraid of the 9 ancestors and 18 kings' revenge? The burly bald man's body trembled. At this moment, he could feel the boundless baleful qi in Ning Fan's eyes. It was the strongest baleful qi he had ever seen in his life. This was a devil lord of massacre. He thought that he had encountered a fat sheep, but he did not expect that this person was actually a ferocious tiger in sheep's clothing. "If I kill all of you here, who would know that I'm the one who killed you?" With a wave of his hand, Ning Fan kept the storage pouches of the 11 experts of the Immortal Burial Clan. The black shadows dispersed and swept towards the burly bald man. The burly bald man's body trembled violently. Without saying a word, he wanted to escape. He could already tell that he was definitely not Ning Fan's match. Even an ordinary 8th soul break realm expert might not be able to survive in Ning Fan's hands. He wanted to run away, but a golden vortex appeared under his feet out of nowhere. His feet were trapped inside the vortex, making it impossible for him to escape. At the next moment, the black shadows attacked him and engulfed him. With a shrill scream, he was minced into countless pieces of minced flesh by the black shadows. His primordial spirit was captured by Ning Fan's hand and his soul and memories were being searched. In this way, the map would be in my hands. Isn't it very simple? Ning Fan's cold eyes swept across the members of the Immortal Burial Clan below him. There were a few hundred of them and there were even 1 or 2 void fragmentation realm experts among them. Each of them was staring at Ning Fan with fear. Many of them formed hand seals, trying to send out their messenger flying swords to inform the 9 ancestors and 18 kings to kill Ning Fan. Ning Fan would not give them the chance to do so. His sword sense turned into a barrier, enveloping everyone within it. None of them could send any messages to the outside world. All of a sudden, an incomparably massive golden vortex appeared on the ground of the sacrificial altar. It sucked all the experts of the Immortal Burial Clan into the vortex and killed them all. Dao fruits, storage pouches and the blood and flesh essence of countless experts. The blood and flesh essence of these experts were kept in the cauldron world by Ning Fan and placed in front of the giant demon cocoon that Niali had formed. After these experts died, each of them produced a trace of corpse chi which floated in the air and was refined by Ning Fan one by one. This was an unexpected gain. The corpse chi could gradually improve Ning Fan's corpse devil physique. Initially, he thought that there would be corpse chi in the ancient heavenly court. However, he did not expect that all the corpse chi here would be taken away by the Immortal Burial Clan. After killing these experts, Ning Fan obtained 300,000 Dao crystals. There were a total of 330,000 Dao crystals. As for the countless rare spiritual herbs on the sacrificial altar, they were all taken away by Ning Fan and given to Ming Kei for her to eat. Brother Biscuit is so violent. But I like it. Ming Kei chewed on a spiritual herb with a satisfied look and said with a smile. Let's go. I already know where the heavenly gate is. Let's go there directly. After killing the members of the Immortal Burial Clan like this, I'm afraid the 33 heavens will be in turmoil. Ning Fan took a deep look at the sacrificial altar. The blood-red light on the altar was slowly fading away. However, it gave him an endless ominous feeling. Putting away his distracting thoughts, Ning Fan stepped on the ancient sword and headed straight for the heavenly gate. In a certain ancient forbidden area in the first heaven realm, a skinny old man wearing golden armor was suddenly enraged. The ground beneath him was covered in extremely profound blood-colored talisman markings. He patted his storage pouch and took out hundreds of broken life tokens. Among these life tokens were the sacrificial offerings that were supposed to be offered to the ancestors and the guards that were sent to the sacrificial altar. They're dead. All of them are dead. Humph. In the first heaven realm, the strongest demon beasts and devil beasts are only at the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. How could they have the strength to attack the sacrificial altar? Could the murderer be a cultivator from the outside world? The golden-armored old man's eyes flashed with killing intent. The aura force of a rogue immortal rose to the sky. If it wasn't because I have to guard this forbidden area and protect the ancestors from their awakening, I would certainly show up personally to investigate who is so bold as to kill members of the Immortal Burial Clan. His eyes turned grim. He raised his hand and sent out countless messenger flying swords. There was only one message, which was to order all members of the immortal burial clan in the first heaven realm to kill any cultivator from the outside world without mercy. How dare a mere ant from the outside offend my immortal burial clan? Humph. The golden-armored old man sneered and closed his eyes again. Then, he performed some kind of extremely mysterious hand seal. The sealed door of the broken domain in the upper level was finally opened. A group of void fragmentation realm old monsters who had been waiting for a long time rushed into the first heaven realm. As soon as they entered the first heaven realm, everyone wore a look of disbelief. There were already many experts of the immortal burial clan guarding the door. As soon as they saw them entering the realm, they immediately launched a fatal attack. Impossible. Even though the immortal burial clan has always looked down on us cultivators from the outside world, they won't attack us easily. Why would they point their swords at us when the heavenly court opens this time? Could it be that some arrogant cultivator killed the members of the immortal burial clan and angered them? Who is it? Who else could it be? Only the evil Cloud Rain's sovereign alone entered the first heaven realm in advance with the void sky token. Each of the old monsters sighed. Some of them even complained to Ning Fan. They had the advantage in numbers. Moreover, there were 7 rogue immortal old monsters present. Naturally, they would not be hurt by the members of the immortal burial clan. Now that they had already become enemies with the immortal burial clan, there was no need for them to be patient anymore. Everyone attacked and killed the group of immortal burial clan experts in no time. However, the expressions of each of the old monsters were extremely unpleasant. Since they had become enemies with the immortal burial clan, it would probably be extremely dangerous to enter the ancient heavenly court this time. Rumor has it that the immortal burial clan is guarded by 9 ancestors and 18 kings. In the first 27 floors of the heaven realm, there is a rogue immortal ancestral king. In order to avoid being left alone and getting into trouble, this old man suggests that we should split into 7 groups. Each group will be led by a rogue immortal old ancestor. We will search for fortune in 7 different directions. In this way, even if we are attacked by the ancestral kings of each floor of the heaven realm, it won't be too dangerous. Fellow Taoists, what do you think of this old man's suggestion? One of the old monsters suggested. This suggestion is naturally very good. We have no objections. Each of the low-level void fragmentation realm experts agreed with the suggestion. However, their faces were filled with sighs. Traveling with the rogue immortal old ancestors was naturally less dangerous. However, if they managed to find any supreme treasures, they would most likely be taken away by those old ancestors. This time, entering the ancient heavenly court to search for fortune would probably not be able to obtain too many benefits. The speed of finding treasures would also be greatly reduced due to the continuous attacks of the immortal burial clan. The sinful Cloud Rain sovereign really knows how to cause trouble for everyone. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.